So we give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yah in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. Let's go to John chapter 5 and verse 39. So, search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that come from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there is one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. If you believe not his writings, how should you believe my word? What's going on, friends? So let's come over back to Proverbs 9 and 13. We'll deal with some of this stuff here in more detail. Verses 10, 11, and 12. We'll probably revisit sooner rather than later. But a foolish woman is clamorous. She's simple and she knows nothing. For she sits at the door of her house on a seat in the high places of the city. Now pause. Let's come over here to what it is. First Kings chapter 11. Sitting about how this foolish woman sits at the high places of the city. So we need to sit back and look at that, because we finna deal with one of those, because that's where they worship their idols at, right? In the high places. Y'all familiar with that? In the high places? I guess that's what they were doing when they were climbing the Asherah pole. So it says, but King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, the women of Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which Yahuwah said unto the children of Yasharal, you shall not go unto them, neither shall they come in unto you, for they shall surely turn away your hearts after their gods, and clave unto these in love. So like I say, man, a lot of brothers feel like a lot of sins is the biggest, idolatry is the largest. You know why idolatry is the largest when you're dealing with Yasharal? Because see, women do something that's a little bit differently than men. And if a man does it, he's definitely considered to be feminine. They live comparatively to other women. Women like to compare themselves to other women. Men don't usually do that. So when you see Yasharal, they always were comparing themselves to the women that were around them. What is they doing? What are they doing? What are they doing? So he's already telling you, don't fool with them, because if you ask most of these women in this room, and they'll tell you, when you usually was living comparative to another woman and you inquired in what she had going on, you usually ended up caught up in her mess, when you should have just stayed over there and be content where you at. You know what I'm saying? So it's usually what happens. That's why dudes say, male shouldn't be jealous. That's a female trait. But when you see that, it's not necessarily that Yasharal was jealous. Just like you were saying that before, like the term relationship goals, that don't come from men. That comes from women. If I see a man say relationship goals, I know that nigga's feminine. You know what I'm saying? Because you're comparing someone else's life to yours, and that's the life that you want to emulate. That's not a matter according to his purpose. He's not going to want to model himself and his life after a life that he don't even know. And you know what's funny too? What you don't realize is, especially with the celebrities, you say relationship goals, when in reality, you're saying that you desire to emulate the mother goddess, the father goddess, and their son. Because that's who those people venerate. Now, I was going to mention it to you. I'll read it to you right now after I get to Ashtaroth, because I happen to run across a nice statue, and yeah, it's a familiar pose that you've seen in common culture. That's another reason why I told you that black people ought to be ashamed when the only thing you have for your culture is entertainment. So really, your culture in reality is pagan rituals and rites. That's your culture. You know what I'm saying? When you say do it for the culture, you're saying that do it for ungodliness, because your culture is the Babylonian mystery school system. The Kemetic mystery school system. That's your culture, and you revel in it. Like we were talking about before, all that revelry. But that's why Peter said that people will speak evil of you, because now you're not running to the same excess of riot. You don't want to go to the club and get drunk with. If you still feel comfortable in them places, then you haven't done what Mashiach did and made a sacrifice of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because what are you reveling for? Why would you want to be in an environment where people are participating in bacchanalian rites? And you say you serve Yahuwah. How are you comfortable in this environment? These niggas in here. Everybody at the Essence Festival right now, and that ain't nothing but a 3 to 4 day bacchanalian ritual. Do you know what I'm saying? Under the cloak of black improvement. And Essence magazine ain't nothing but a feminist magazine to begin with. Good afternoon, man. Yeah, pay attention to Essence. That's all it is, just a feminist. Nothing but women. It's a feminist publication. But guess what? Black people don't care because somebody black doing it. So and they know you that stupid. You know what I'm saying? They know you're gonna run over there. It's black people. We're empowered. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, let me continue. He had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. So that's another reason. That's why not Solomon didn't write it, but that's why it states that in Proverbs 31, to not give your strength unto women. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no way in the world a man should be giving his fortitude and his mind to a woman. That's backwards. You're supposed to be leading her. You know what I'm saying? We done already went over this before. A woman has to be moderated and led. That's why the word. I'm gonna ask y'all this question because I heard the brother say this here. Who do you feel like over sexualizes women more? Women or men? Huh? Like means sexualize the woman. Who sexualizes the woman? Women or men? You say women. Why you say men do it?
I say men because, like, even with the type of the way women present themselves, they do that for men because that's what the men promote that they like.
No, they don't do that for men. And they'll tell you that they do that for themselves. They could care less about us.
I look at it like if men was attracted to anything other than that, they would think that's that. That's why I say that.
The reason to say that is his point. I mean, shoot, but hoes was getting off covered up. You know what I'm saying? But the point of reason why it's women, because when women were moderated by men, they couldn't dress that way. Now that they have the option, they're going to dress like a slut. If you give the woman the options.
The man is not set standard. That's why I say men.
I mean, I can see that part, but the point of the matter is that if she's left to make her own choice, she's going to choose to look like a whore. Do you know what I'm saying? If it's left up to her, she's not going to carry herself in decency, especially if she got a figure, because she wants you to see it.
But a man that got a woman that looks good and dressed good, he'll let her go out and look like a whore and feel like he's empowering her. But
most of them
don't say, but if he say, no, you're not going to dress.
But then it's dudes who done said that, and she was like, no, nigga, I'm going to wear what I want to wear. Because she wasn't moderated to begin with.
But she was looking like that when
he met because she was, but that's because she wasn't moderated from her youth.
Yeah.
So if you leave, like I said, like most women, they raise women, little girls by themselves, and if you give them the option, she's going to choose to look like a whore. She's not going to cover herself up. She's going to choose like a whore. You know what I'm saying? Because look what you just said. Because if the man has the choice, he's any type of man, he's going to tell her to cover herself up. Don't go out the door like that. But if she got the choice, oh, she going to get butt naked. You know what I'm saying? Especially if she feel like she got a figure because she wants you to see it. She don't even want you to see it because she wants you to lay with her. She just wants you to acknowledge, I got a body and I need you to see my thighs and my butt. Look at my titties. Ain't they look nice? You'll never get them, but I want you to see them. No, that's for her own ego. Because women like attention. And that attention is to feed. No, but that's to feed her own ego.
I'm just saying, like, for what you asked, like, the man is the nigga look at her and be like, dang,
she gonna get offended.
Right. And she might reconsider.
Because like I told you before, a woman can't handle rejection like a man handle rejection. Let one of y'all throw booty at a nigga and he tell you no. You gonna get offended and you gonna snap on him. Dudes are used to getting rejected. A woman is not used to being rejected when she makes a sexual advance. It's bruising to her ego. But it's about the booty, but you have to deal with the psychology of a woman. They desire ego boosts.
To me, they desire to be accepted.
But that's for their ego. That's for their ego. Like if you look at it, women are very narcissistic. You know what I'm saying? They want you to look at them and pay attention to me. That's why they want you to put them first before everything. That's narcissistic tendency. A woman will want you to put her before your purpose for the sole purpose to say, I got him to do it. She didn't even care about stopping you. She don't even care if you don't finish what you're doing. I just need to know that I come before everything.
But I'm saying, if you're not doing that for her, you're not completing that mission.
Yeah, then she gets frustrated and she may very well try to sabotage your life.
I'm just saying.
I was just saying, I want to say the woman first say society, she has been given the option to do it, but she's been liberated by men to do it.
Well, What she was really liberated from is because for what it ends up happening is not even all women have been liberated by men because we were stupid enough to attach ourselves to Caucasian problems because white feminism was a Caucasian problem. You know what I'm saying? Then you attached yourself to it, and that's why. But there's also a reason behind that. You know, the burning of the bras. Do you know why they burnt their bras? Yeah, in the 70s during the feminist revolution, women took off all their bras and burnt them. Y'all not familiar with that? Because the bra, what is the bra supposed to be used for? Support. So if I take off the bra, this is symbolizing I don't need no support. I can do this by myself. I don't need you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But that was the symbolic meaning behind burning your bras. I don't need the support of a man. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at it, when you say you don't need the support, it means I don't need the moderation or the leadership of a man. Because a man not let his wife or daughter at a particular juncture look or dress any type of way. When you're saying that the woman will sexualize herself more because you give her the choice. And the woman usually doesn't know what's best for her. Nor does she usually know what she wants. She only knows how she feels in the moment. So she will do what she feels like in that moment. And if she feels like dressing like a whore on Tuesday and dressing like a lady on Thursday, that's what she's going to do. And she's going to feel like that you ought to respect her as a lady regardless. Do you know what I'm saying? Even though you're not one. Because that's how the female mind works. You know what I'm saying? And y'all know I ain't lying. Because there's been plenty of times y'all was walking around in your youth half naked and somebody said something to you slick and you got offended. But yet you recorded that type of sexual attention by dressing like a common whore. So you mean to tell me you ain't dressed like a whore and somebody said something to you that you didn't appreciate? Did you wear anything where anybody could see any part of your cleavage? Did you ever wear shorts or skirts that were tight or small? And when I say small, meaning short, meaning mid-thigh or above. You still wore it. You ever walk around here with 6-inch heels on? Because that's definitely prostitute attire. Still prostitute attire. Because you know the purpose is, men wore heels, but the purpose of heels is to push your hips and your butt out. You know what I'm saying? What purpose do they serve? They tear your feet up and y'all rush to go grab them and put them on your feet and then complain about how your feet hurt. Then you didn't even know men wore them.
Why niggas wore them?
Cause
but I thought that was
in brick.
I thought it was gay though.
Because they were punks on the low.
Right, that's what I just was making sure what that was.
They say it would be tall now.
That's what they say.
They make you look cool.
That's what they say.
But at what point in society was it taller?
Never.
No, you said why men won't.
Yeah.
They would be taller. They look like
Men are naturally taller.
taller like the other men. Or more.
Either way it goes, it's punking.
Yeah, why would you taller?
I mean, we could Google it, but we don't have the time. Let me get this verse 4, man. It's really gay though, but not that's like I said. Like you said, especially if you look in this society now, like who came up with the slut walk? Don't slut shame, don't fat shame. Women came up with that, and that's for the boosting of their ego. Don't tell me that I have a flaw. Don't tell me that I'm fat and out of shape and I need to exercise and eat better because that hurts my feelings. Do you know what I'm saying? So don't tell me that. The same token that somebody said that nigga Chris Brown actual lyrics were black female dogs with good hair. But either way it go, why do you let a nigga trigger you? Niggas have their preference. If they have their preference, what they got to do with you? Because every woman in here got a preference. Would somebody say you hate black people if you say you like tall, light-skinned niggas? No, you going to feel like that's what I like. And if a nigga say something to you, you going to be offended because a nigga checked you for that. And that's narcissistic. Because you're not holding yourself to the same standard that you want to hold somebody else to. It's not cool. It's not cool at all. You know what I'm saying? If that nigga said he like Hindu women, what that got to do with you? Not what he like. But then you already see. But from like I said, the nigga said the lyrics didn't actually say light skinned women. The worst part is niggas was offended about the good hair part, and not that he called you out your name. Oh, people got mad at Chris. No, niggas got mad at Chris Brown for a song lyric. But the point is why you see when you come out and say my hair is good, that's subconsciously saying you actually don't believe that it is, and you need someone to validate that point. Because if you know you're good and what you have is desirable, then you have no reason to speak on it or try to convince anyone otherwise. You know what I'm saying? Because you already believe that. People who are confident in what they look like and who they are, they don't do that. So all that was a trigger. You have to know that nigga's an MK asset. Look at the nigga. Does that nigga look the same way he looked when he started?
That nigga on the set both men and women.
No, but I'm talking about he doesn't look like, oh, he's gotten older. That nigga looks like he's on hard drugs. You know what I'm saying? And 9 times out of 10, that nigga on, because remember, this was a child star. So if he was a child star, ain't no telling what them white folks did to him at the Bacchanalian house. Ain't no telling what they did to him. What that boy was 15, 16 when he started. And you've seen a precipitous decline in his mental state. You know what I'm talking about? So you have to look at that. You think, oh, that nigga just crazy. You'd be crazy too if a nigga was touching on you since you were 12. You know what I'm talking about? You'd be crazy too if you walked in the room and seen 3 dudes and 2 women and a goat. At a very young age. And I'm mentioning this here because this ain't about satanic worship. This is what you do in a bacchanalian religion. You know what I'm saying? This is what you do. That's why we read that. Like, you see where that was in Peter when he said all that reveling, that was referring to a bacchanalian ritual. Look the stuff up and look what them people did. This is what they did. They slept with animals. You know what I'm talking about? They slept with the same sex. There were orgies going on. You play with it if you want to. You know what I'm talking about? And you're going to be like this here. What's wrong with Chris Brown? Shoot. That nigga served ball. Nigga, that was wrong with him. That nigga around here serving ball pure. Shoot. Yeah, it's definitely a gynocentric society, which is very sad in and of itself. What it is, man? Verse 4. For it came to pass when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with Yahuwah his Elohim, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Amorites. Who in here is familiar with Ashtaroth? What do you know about Ashtaroth? Yeah, I thought you supposed to. She definitely was. Her name shared. Anybody else in here familiar with that? You said the stars? Yeah, she the Starbucks logo. That's the Starbucks logo. That's Ashtaroth. But Ashtaroth, go ahead.
And her son named Tammuz?
Depending on who you talk to. Depending on who you talk to, but yes, depending on who you talk to. But she's also known as this. Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 15. Ashtaroth or Astarte. Do y'all know who Astarte is? Same thing. But this is a goddess of freakiness. See, again, it's what I'm telling you about. You got to beware of somebody who call themselves a goddess, because a woman who call herself a goddess is nothing but a woman who seeks to overcome and destroy a man, usually through things of creation. What is Jeremiah 7:15? I'll be there in a moment. All right, here you go. He said, I will verse 14. Therefore, I will do unto this house, which is called by my name, wherein you trust, unto the place which I gave to you and your fathers, as I've done to Shiloh. How many of y'all familiar with Shiloh? Who is not familiar with Shiloh? Shiloh was the first house of Elohim that was made in the city Bethel. The people decided to be sinful, so Yahuwah destroyed it. So that was the second tabernacle after the tabernacle of witness in the wilderness and the first tabernacle before the temple that was built in Jerusalem. So he's letting them know, I tore this place down because you niggas was in here wilding. And that's mainly of what occurred in the book of Judges. All the idolatry that was going on there. This is when he had made his mind up that I'm going to destroy this house, because they trusted more in the temple than they did of the power who told them to build it. You know what I'm saying? This is why he said, I don't dwell in temples made with hands. The same thing that Solomon said when he built the first temple. Because that's why we don't have a temple now. Because if we did, people would trust and pray to and worship the temple and not the Elohim behind the temple. This is why he tells you not to have, this is why he doesn't want certain creations or representations of himself, because he already knows the vanity of man's mind and what you gonna do. He said, I will cast you out of my sight as I've cast out all of your brethren, even the whole seed of Ephraim. Therefore pray not you for this people, neither lift up a cry nor prayer for them, neither make intercession to me, for I will not hear you. If you didn't know why Yahushua say he didn't pray for the world, well, there you go. Because he said don't even pray for them. Because you know, sometimes people be doing wicked stuff. They be like, pray for me. Pray for you for what? Because Yahuwah don't pray for everybody, nor does, I put it this way. It's not that he don't pray. Well, Yahushua say he don't pray for the world. I mean, he ain't praying for sinners. He's praying for those that belong to him. So you can pray for somebody outside the house, but you'll basically be praying in vain. You know what I'm talking about? But he explicitly told Jeremiah, don't pray for none of them and make intercession for none of them, because I've determined to execute my wrath upon their head for their disobedience. You know what I'm saying? And see, that goes back to what I was talking about last night. Just because you say you serve Yahuwah does not mean that you're owed repentance or mercy or forgiveness from him. You know what I'm saying? Remember what David prayed for in Psalms 109? He prayed for the man who would betray him, for his prayer to become sin. That would be a transgression to Yahuwah for him to pray to him. So you can't be out here wild and doing this, that, and the third and think y'all gonna be like, you know what, brother, you all right. Oh yeah, I got you. You can't be right, and it's even, and remember, right, if you don't know, as it says in Acts, he winks at your ignorance. You know what I'm talking about? He was like, you know what? You didn't know no better. You need to repent. But if you do know, oh no, that's a different conversation. You know what I'm saying? That's a different conversation. That's not how this works. You know what I'm saying? But some of that come in at, I need to sit back and look at it now that's coming to my mind, because I ain't sat and looked at it in a while, because I knew what it was at one time. But the purpose of why you go into the Roman Catholic Church and do confession, because that's a pagan rite that they got going on with that. You know what I'm saying? I used to know what that is, but I can't remember what it is. I need to go back and find that information. But you'll be surprised how many things that you do in a day-to-day life are pagan rites. You know, you should know anything with the Catholic Church is pagan anyway, because that is the epicenter of Babylonian pagan sun worship. You know what I'm saying? That's all they do. Matter of fact, now we're sitting there thinking about it, because I'm finna get to Astaroth.
It's really different. Like, it seemed like it's sun worship, like you were saying yesterday. It's really all about worshiping in heaven, like what it's saying, because the sun worship is the focal point, but everything undertone is all worship of women.
Yeah, that's what they want you to do, is worship a woman.
Right.
He wants you to worship a woman. That's why I told you, that's why they came with black girl magic and black girl power. Niggas too simple to catch that. That ain't got nothing to do with uplifting you. That's uplifting you over the man, so men will worship the female principle, and they therefore bring down the power of the Father in heaven, because that's who they despise. They hate Yahuwah. So they want everyone to hate anything that is masculine, because what does the law say? That we were made in his image. You know what I'm saying? So a man is representation of Yahuwah. So we can't touch Yahuwah and destroy him. So let's just destroy the man. Destroy the man, you worship the feminine principle. They want niggas around here worshiping vagina. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the average man do. You know what I'm saying? You're taught from a child to capitulate to whatever a woman's desire is, whatever she wants. You know what I'm saying? She can throw a tantrum and get what she wants. You know what I'm saying? She can play the victim to get what she wants. You know what I'm saying? And you end up worshiping the woman because you don't want to tell her no.
But I feel like that's why it's called mystery. That's why it's called mystery.
It's a hidden truth.
It's so hidden, because like they'll openly worship the sun, like they all worship the masculine principle. They'll worship the fathers like they worship the masculine principle. But
they really worshiping the woman.
Right, the whole undertone is everything feminine. So like if you looking at it and you worship like they worship it like on a mass scale, you really don't know what you worship. Whatever God you choose, you worship it like in a mystery. Like it's a mystery to how you worship it. Like you worship them by the rights, but at the end of the day, like the principle behind it is worshiping
the woman. If you're not serving Yahuwah, you're worshiping a woman. And that's why niggas integrated in the Ruach as a woman. Yah has a wife, because they're trying to insert the feminine principle for individuals to worship. That's why you must beware of anyone and anything that promotes that the black woman is God or that a woman is a goddess, because they're trying to get you to worship the female principle, and that is wickedness all the way around the board. Like the aspect of the Trinity, that ain't nothing but Osiris, Isis, and Horus, because that's not in the text. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the basis of it comes. Oh, the Father, they try to take the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, and they try to take that Holy Ghost and say that's Isis. You know what I'm saying? Because that's who they really venerate. That's why when you see in most Christian depictions, you always see Mary with the baby sucking on the titty, because that goes back to Isis, because that's what the original statues of Isis was her nursing Horus. And that's why you see all your favorite stars walking around with their left titty out. They just not got that titty out for no reason. When you see them in certain stuff, and you remember when Lil' Kim had her titty out? Nicki Minaj had her titty out, or you see them with an outfit and that left side is exposed. All you need to do is go find Janet Jackson at the Super Bowl. That was the left titty. You know what I'm saying? And that was on, and you already knew it was on purpose. That was the left titty. Yeah, nigga was watching it live. But you notice that, but they did that for a reason. Because that's to symbolize Isis, the mother goddess of who you worship. And the reason why they always see her in the sun is because she doesn't need a man. You know what I'm saying?
That's the Catholic. That's part like that. That's how
Yeah. Which is in nothing but Kemet. This is Kemet. You know what I'm saying? And you have to know that and understand what you're looking at when you see it. Because it's talking about this bald-headed hoe right here. Let me finish. He says, see you not what they do in the cities of Yehuda and the streets of Jerusalem? The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that they might provoke me to anger. Now look at that. Let's read about Ashtaroth. But see, like I said, man, no matter what name you use, it's the same God. They've been worshiping. But let's read a little bit about Ashtaroth. She's a bald-headed hoe. Dang, we might not read nothing because my phone keeps shutting off. Absolutely not. A nigga just cuts off and restarts. Yeah, I'm gonna check it out with a deductible and get another phone. At that particular juncture, there's no need to keep it.
I have to do a factory reset on. I have to reinstall the software.
At that point, I just need to get another phone. He already cracked. Screen already scratched. Okay. Hey, so Ashtaroth is the moon goddess. She's a principal female deity. Her husband is usually Baal, the sun god, and she's mentioned in numerous different places in the text. This was what her name is. This was Jezebel's god. But let me tell you about another lady. She's a wicked whore. Her name is Parvati. Any of y'all familiar with Parvati? You know, you are familiar with Parvati and you just didn't know it. Some of y'all too young to remember. Y'all remember Lil' Kim's first little album, little poster? She had the leopard print with her leg caught wide open. Do you remember when Nicki Minaj did it? Do you remember when what her name is? Cardi B did it too. Well, guess what? You're not gonna be able to see it from here, but I'll drop it in the chat. But this is Parvati right here, doing the same pose. Yeah, doing the same pose. Just like them, they weren't doing that. We like, oh, she trying to copy Lil' Kim. No, they were just copying the goddess. She's a Hindu god. She's I think she's the god of sex, if I'm not mistaken. She's married to Lord Shiva. Any of y'all familiar with who Shiva is? She's the lover of life, and she brings her power and prowess into the world as she infuses it with her magic. See, black women should have had enough sense when they talk about black girl magic. That junk wasn't right. You should have had enough sense to know that this ain't right. She is the goddess of fertility, love, beauty, marriage, children, and devotion. And her devotion was to cock spread eagle and show you her vagina. You know what I'm talking about? And also, Ashtaroth is also a goddess of vegetation. You know what I'm saying? This is why you see her pop up during Easter. Hold on. Also, you can look this up too. It's called Isis lactans. So that's where you'll always see the statues of Isis nursing Horus. You know what I'm saying? That's why you always see that. That's probably part of the reason why they pushing breastfeeding so hard in this particular society would allow women to do that, so your programming can kick in and think of the mother goddess when you see somebody breastfeeding in public. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not about the fact that you should breastfeed. You know what I'm saying? But you have to realize that anytime these people overtly or push something, that they're pushing it for a reason. You know what I'm saying?
They're not pushing breastfeeding.
Oh yeah, they do. Whether it's positive, see, you looking at it as being in positive. See, there's no such thing as negative publicity. See, they don't have to say go breastfeed, but when we make a story about women breastfeeding in public, or we make a story about women breastfeeding, period, and why they shouldn't, it's to put the image of a woman with a child on her breast. You know what I'm saying? So that image is in your head. It's not about the act per se. They want the image of you seeing a woman nursing a child. And they usually saw a woman nursing a boy because that's who she's nursing, so that the programming that you've received your whole lifetime of the mother goddess will kick in. You know what I'm saying? Remember what they do is very, very subtle. It's not about the act because they could care less. You know what I'm saying? Them people don't care if you breastfeed or not. But they definitely want you to remember the mother goddess. You know what I'm saying? I had just seen a Time magazine cover of a grown white woman with a 6-year-old boy, with this boy sucking on her titty. No man in sight for that purpose. There's another pagan goddess by the name of Kali. Are y'all familiar with Kali? Well, you ever see how you see some of them female artists, they always sticking their tongue out? You know, Cardi B like to take a lot of pictures sticking her tongue out, don't it? Well, that's for Kali. You know who else uses that imagery? The rock group Kiss. That's the logo for Rolling Stones, because Kali is a vampire and a prototype of Akasha, the first vampire. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's why they showing you that. It's like I say, it's programming. It's just programming. It's not even about what's going on around it. It's to get that deity. Because remember, that's casting spells. Casting spells is nothing but trying to influence a person's behavior. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be cognizant and aware of that. I had something else for Ashtaroth. Hold on. And this is who Solomon ended up worshiping. So you know, if he had 1,000 wives, you knew what was going on in there. Debauchery. A lot of booty. A lot of booty. He might have did, and it got him in trouble too.
Yeah, they enticed them. Come on, child.
Come on and do it. Gave his strength over the women. Come on and do it. Come over here to 2 Kings chapter 17. 700 wives, 300 concubines. What you think going on in there? Because you got to remember, right? Let's just be honest. If your heart gets turned to serving another God, you have to serve what that God requires. It's not just the fact that let's make a grove to Ashtaroth. You're participating in the rites along with that.
I mean, when that festival come around,
you there.
Well,
that's what that means. Now, whether he was actively participating in what they doing is irrelevant, because either he was or he sat there and allowed it and watched it, which is the same as participating. You know what I'm saying? That's the reality of it.
He had to partake. I'm looking at I'm saying that because based off what we were talking about last time too. The Levites out there, them boys to the side and was like,
it was 3,000 Levites said, but we ain't with that punkin.
And niggas just seen it. It was like, yeah, we seen them niggas. We was over there like, we ain't doing it.
We ain't on that.
So clearly he wasn't doing that.
You sit back looking like he been just hit what's the name in the butt. Think like this here, same way Phineas like this here. Oh no, we laugh about it because you know why we laugh about it? Because nobody has told us this what they was out there doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we have this romanticized idea that our people wouldn't dare do stuff like that. But they were fooling with. Let me read you about Bel Peor too.
But nah, that's true though. Like in teaching in Israel across the board, we don't never personify how wicked he really was. It's always like teaching, the history of what we got.
How great we are.
Yeah, which is the history of what we got to do to get right. It ain't never.
Let me read y'all about Bel Peor, because I missed this part last night, and I didn't read it. His name is also Bel Figor. Figor, spelled Belphegor. He is known as one of the 7 princes of hell. He helps people make discoveries, and he seduces people by suggesting them to ingenious inventions that will make them rich. His name is Belphegor. Figor. Figo. Ego. He say he originated as Bel Peor, and he was associated with licentiousness, and I'm saying it wrong, and orgies. And he was worshipped in the form of a phallus. So when you worship Bel Peor, you worship the slum. That's what you were doing. You were worshiping the penis. As a demon, he's described in Kabbalistic writings as the disputer and as the enemy of the 6 Sephiroth beauty. And when summoned, he can grant riches and the power of discovery and ingenious invention. His role as a demon was to sow discord among men and seduce them to evil through the apportionment of wealth.
I was saying something with this thing about last he got his vision from God. Pray.
I've read that. Same thing with Einstein, because I just seen a picture of Einstein repping Cali. Not Cali.
But that means for him to Cali, which is granted, he had to do some debauchery.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Some hunting, if you will.
Of course.
He bowed down. But notice that with Bel Peor, and remember, right? That's what it said in Numbers 25, that they were committing whoredom with the daughters of Moab. They were out there having orgies. That doesn't necessarily mean they were having homosexual acts, but they were out there having orgies. And we got to remember, right? When we were in the wilderness, what did they do with the tabernacle of witness? It's not sodomy.
I know, but if y'all, it's a bunch of y'all out there together.
I mean, but if you ain't had sex, it's gay to me, because I'm not going to be sitting around a bunch of butt naked niggas. You know what I'm saying? But is it technically? But if it's technically homosexual behavior, no, because you didn't have coitus with that man. No, orgy is not necessarily homosexual contact. An orgy is just a bunch of people in one room having sex at the same time.
I wouldn't know.
Not like that picture you
I was looking. Oh yeah, I was looking at the orgy.
Oh no, because I know people. No. That's swapping and swinging. Like I know women who've been in orgies.
So what was that?
Swapping and swinging. That's still an orgy.
Okay, that's okay. That means
But they would define it as we're swinging. So a free fall is swinging, meaning you can hit my spouse, I'll hit your spouse, I'll hit his spouse. That's swinging. Because that boy lived next to some swingers, and they had a swinger party at his house one day when we was over there. And he was like, wow, I did not thought people do this. I knew people did this, but to meet someone in real life, y'all are actually about to sleep with each other's woman. See, Pandora's box is symbolic. So what is that whole name? I just listened to it today.
I remember my mother had that movie, and I remember I watched it. And I always thought that's what the orgy was. Because in there, it was like, girl on girl, dude on dude.
I mean, it can still be defined as an orgy, but in a conventional sense, it's just a bunch of people having sex in one room. And you don't necessarily have to be participating in homosexuality. You know what I'm saying? But that's what they were out there doing. They were having an orgy. And in the name of Baal Peor. You already know something, Baal Peor. What you want something to do with that? But come over here to what it is. 2 Peter chapter 2. This is why y'all got mad with Balaam. But what I was saying is that when we were in the wilderness, you had to pick up and take the the tabernacle of witness was mobile. So that means while technically in the aspect of symbolism, Yahuwah is right there. And you niggas having an orgy, he's right there. You know how disgusting that is? And guess what? And like I said, why do you think they promote going to the club and going to the strip club? I'm talking about the regular club, or going to the nothing but a little orgy, revelry.
You gotta think, back in the day, what, Studio 52 or something like
Yeah,
that?
Studio 51.
Oh, yeah.
Getting high, getting freaky.
Yeah.
Boy, when ecstasy really hit, that's all them white boys was at the rave doing, popping pills, having freaky sex in the club at the rave. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, right, we ought to be ashamed of ourselves because we was like that. Entertainment is our culture. So in reality, your culture is paganism. 2 Peter chapter 2, right? Verse 12. It said, but these are natural brute beasts, made to be taken and destroyed. Speak evil of the things they understand not, and they shall utterly perish in their own corruption. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you see, like, and I've been known this here, right? When somebody say they believe in God, what's the first thing you ought to say to them? Which one? Because Paul told you there are many gods. You know what I'm saying? But it's only one true and living God. Which one? There's a lot of gods, nigga. Do you serve Rapata? You remember Rapata? He's a punk. That nigga named himself after a god who is literally a punk. Do you serve Akasha? What about Kali? Kali, did you know you were named after a pagan deity? Hey, that's messed up. Did you know that? Did you know your name is the name of a pagan deity? I'm dead serious. We're just discussing it for you. You ever seen Cardi B like take pictures sticking her tongue out? That's for the Hindu god Kali. She was a vampire. Yeah, vampire. She got big, two long fangs like to suck blood, drink blood. But that's that's something that you did when you served Astaroth. You went somewhere and you drank blood. That's what we told you. Remember, we just read that last night. That's why I chose Akasha, because she was the first. She's the queen of the dance. When you hear Akasha, you should just think about Aaliyah in the last movie she did before she died, because that's who she was playing. And there's a statue that looks exactly how she looks. Astaroth is also, we were discussing this last night, Astaroth is also the Statue of Liberty, who is the goddess Columbia, which is why CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System, the District of Columbia, they put their gods in there everywhere. That's why she's holding the torch. And then she's androgynous, because that's one of the most handsome women you'd ever see. Oh, there she go right there. They go to bald-headed hoe right there. Do you know what I'm talking about? And them little things around her head, that's for the sun. That's why they had Wendy Williams dress up like that one time when she passed out. That's not by accident. Because Columbia is Astaroth. Like I say, Columbia, I think Columbia is the Roman name for it. Then you got Columbia Pictures with the same thing doing this right here. And do you know who knows how the Statue of Liberty got to America? The French, but you know what? It's not just the French. French Freemasons gave that to them to send them. French Freemasons. And guess what people like to do? Climb up the steps and stand in their head so they can be in the mind of the mother goddess. Big dummy. Big dummy. And guess what, niggas? I want to go to the Statue of Liberty when I go to New York. I shall not. I don't have any of this. Before I knew anything, I ain't have desire to see none of that junk. When we went to D.C., let's go to all the sites. For what? What? I don't want to see this nigga. Gonna take me to go see a bull penis? I knew that was a bull penis before I went. I don't want to see the Washington Monument. This nigga Sloan, guys. This nigga Rod. You want to take me to see a nigga Rod and a woman's vagina right next to it, because that reflecting pool is symbolizing a woman's vagina. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see that. I'd have been there too, and I didn't want to see that. Let's go. Take me to Congress. Nigga took me to Congress. What I want to go in here for? I don't even remember none of that junk neither. They gonna take me to Lincoln Memorial. This nigga ain't free no slaves. Oh, Kira said her son is named after the goddess Demeter.
What's his name?
I guess Trey. Oh no, Demetrius. Yeah, Demetrius. I forgot his name ain't Trey. I forget the Trey's for the third. I be forgetting that the Trey is because he's the third. Yeah, Demetrius is for Demeter. No, she told me that before. He's the third. Yeah, he's the third. Trayvon. Verse 13, though. He's saying, shall receive the reward of unrighteousness. Listen what it said. As they counted pleasure to riot in the daytime. So when Peter's telling you that they take pleasure of rioting in the daytime, you know now that he is referring specifically to Bacchanalian rites, because that's what was going on around them at that particular time in history. That's what they were doing. They would get, that means they were having freaky orgies and drunken parties in the middle of the day. And guess what? Nigga? Let's have a day party. You don't even realize that people who are doing that, they'll and if you are Yahudim, you're supposed to separate yourself from that. That's why he say they'll accuse you and have things to say about you because you don't want to run to the same excess of riot. We don't do that here. And then you know what your mind go to think, I'm missing out. I can't go have fun. Well, how do you look at how is reveling in the name of another God fun for you? You have to, at that point, you need to assess yourself why you have the desire to revel in another God with people who don't serve your God in the name of friends and family. That's outright stupidity. And that shows y'all that they come before him. That's really your God, because that's who you worship. Because he ain't looking at all that. I serve Yahuwah, but they over there reveling, but I ain't participating. He said, you might as well join in. Because none of my children would be. That's why Mashal say, where I am, my servants will be also. If he ain't going to be there, why you there? You think Yahusha going to go to the day party and be like, yeah, I ain't got nothing to do with that. That's their thing. They serving Bacchus over there. He ain't going. That's why he said, what my servant is, he said, what I am, my servant going to be where I'm at. My servant ain't going to be over here. Now, why he said, why you think he told you? He said, you know, blessed is that servant who waited for him. He said, but the other ones that say he delay is coming, going to get drunk and beat the man. If you already, when he telling you about getting drunk, he already tell you, worshiping Bacchus. You have to remember now, it's not as overt now as it was then. You know what I'm saying? If we were in that time period then you would know all about Bacchus, you know about Dionysus, you know about Zeus, you would know everything that them people doing.
But I will say too, like, since the word is everywhere, like the literal word is everywhere, like it's more like you said, it's not as blatant. Because people know about the Bible and they know about like that stuff that the teacher gives, like on the surface level. So like before back then, before niggas even look at the word, if you weren't even in contact with people culture at all, everything you believe was based off of
where you lived,
the gods and whatever your people taught you.
Where you live.
Everybody undercover try to worship God. So as kids, we ain't taught about idolatry, like
because they don't know.
We still taught that God created everything and all that. We ain't taught that this God made this and this God made that.
Because the reason why we're not taught that, I'm glad you mentioned it, because we live in America. America is a quote unquote melting pot of different cultures and ideologies. Because what does it say in the Constitution? Freedom of what? Religion. You can worship any God you want to worship him. That's your first sign. So because of that, and they call themselves wanting to be a what? A Judeo-Christian nation. They propagate what the scripts is, but in reality, everything they're doing is the Babylonian pagan rites. Because they don't, but I take that back. They do teach you this stuff, but you niggas is not concerned. Because when they taught it to you in world history, you wasn't paying attention. When they taught it to you in humanities, you wasn't paying attention. When they taught it to you in world religion, you wasn't paying attention because you didn't care. Because they definitely taught it to me.
They teach it to you, but they don't teach it to you as just something you believe in. They teach it to
No,
you.
they just teach you the information.
Right.
But what,
I'm saying before they told you, like,
yeah, that's what you believe.
How do we hear over this God made this?
There's no way for what they teach them that sexual liberty is idol. That's what you're trying to say.
No, what I'm talking about is they taught me exactly who she was, where she came from, and whose son it. But like I said, they're not teaching it. Humanities doesn't teach it to you in a religious aspect. They teach you what I'm talking about is you know the information, but how many niggas get excited about going to humanities class? How many? They taught me that in middle school. They taught me that in middle school. Yeah, Gaia. Yeah, they teach you Greek because the reason why I said, oh, they taught us all that. That's what they teach it to you in world history. They will slide it in. Oh yeah, if you take any literature course in school, they gonna slide you Greek mythology because they feel like that is the epitome of writing.
Right, but that's why I'm saying they didn't teach it to you like it's really taught it like it was like literal artwork, not as if it was history.
Like this is what they was on.
No, they'll tell you what they own, but they're not like you said, they're not teaching it to you as this is your culture that you should live. What I'm saying is you've been given access to the information, but it didn't excite you.
Yeah.
So therefore you didn't put any energy into actually paying attention to it or going further. So then that means as you got older, you would not be able to identify it when you saw it. So then you would continue on thinking that everybody followed the Bible when they've been following the same pagan rituals and rites since the beginning of time. You know what I'm saying? That's my point, because it's not, they will tell you. One thing about Satan, he'll tell it to you.
It's because they mix it too. Like they still
That
teach
too.
you science. They still teach you other stuff that they expect that they want you to know. That's besides mythology.
See, that don't excite you. Niggas like to say,
Right.
I want to go to Greek mythology class. Nigga like to say, I'm ready to go to gym.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But if you went reinforced and you got home and you asked your mother why it rained, and she said we need to pray to such and such so it rains. Then when you go to school, it's gonna look like dang, they tell you it's rain because of the water cycle.
But then you have to take into account, you got niggas who say they people believe the Bible, they ain't teaching you that.
Right. For me, it was legit. That was my biggest red flag. My mom used to always talk about the word they know it. So then when I came with stuff, like, what you doing? Like, hey, what did you do? Like, what you doing? So I'm already like, I'm looking at you like, what type of nigga is you?
Type of nigga do what I was told without investigation. I don't even know what I believe. I don't even know why I believe it. I'm just doing it.
But that's why it ain't gonna be nobody focused on, because people definitely be telling you, like, people sit the book in front of you. And I know you done been to church. Most people been to church at least one time in their life. If it wasn't with their parents, it was with somebody. So you done seen the book. You know what it is.
Tavon just said he learned it from geography class to world history, all from 5th grade on up. Because that's how they slide it in different avenues. Because you remember, it's a part of their culture, even though they stealing it from somebody else. And they're going to impart that to you because this is their spot. You know what I'm saying? This is why other races of people, when they come here, they are real implicit and explicit with maintaining their culture. That's why you hear like Asian people, they call it getting Americanized. They don't want their children to become a part of this culture. They want to retain their culture. We are the only people that lives in this land that has no culture. You know what I'm saying? So then when we scream culture, we talking about entertainment when really you have a Babylonian culture. Because remember, culture is nothing but rules and conduct. And our culture come from heaven, and we've been following cultures that come from men.
But I feel like that's like what you were saying with kids go to school and they around sinners and everything they learn all the time is different from what we're trying to do and how we're trying to live. That's a difference between like a culture. Like
Absolutely.
people that's from Asia or somewhere, yeah, their kids might go to our schools, might work at our jobs.
But they bombarded with their culture.
They come home, but they doing everything how they do it back home. And they learn everything about it.
Without exception.
But here we trying to come out of that. And we still part of the society, but this is how we was raised and brought up versus them. Everything they getting taught, they getting learned.
That's why I'm telling you. That's why I would tell you when they come home, they supposed to be bombarded with your culture, and not there. They already bombarded with somebody else's culture when they walk out the door. You can't keep feeding them their culture when they come back in the door. And they think because you gave them y'all one day a week that's going to be enough. Oh, no, they're going to lose. They're going to go to hell, and it's going to be your fault. Because they don't have that discernment. They're not grown. They don't know the difference. Like I said, like when Leah was looking at that mermaid. Leah doesn't know that mermaid is Astaroth. She doesn't have that level of discernment to understand that this is a goddess and this is evil. All she sees is a cartoon that's going to appeal to a child. And they know this. That's why they did it. You know what I'm saying? Just like this here, the Avengers logo. Y'all know what that is, right? Not just the Baphomet. I'm talking about just that A itself. Y'all know what that A is? That's the anarchy sign. So when they showing you anarchy is a society with no rules or conduct. So when you see them, what are they avengers of? They're avengers of chaos. You know what I'm saying? They're workers of chaos, which means they're workers of confusion. And if they're workers of confusion, then you know where they come from. You know what I'm saying? Because look, they call they avengers. So if you're an avenger, what are you bringing? vengeance. And the law says what? Vengeance is mine, saith Yahuwah, I will repay. So they outside of the bounds then, because they're teaching you to be a vigilante and take justice in your own hands and do what you want to do. This is what we mean when we talk about programming. They're programming you to think in a particular type of way. You know what I'm saying? And it's very subtle and it's very shrewd. You know what I'm talking about? And you don't realize after 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years of receiving this programming from multiple different ways, how it sets your mindset. You know what I'm saying? You don't never notice that people who don't consume any media whatsoever have drastically different mindsets to people who are completely immersed in it because they're not receiving the same programming that you're being programmed with. So when they start giving different perspectives, you look at them like they're weird. You know what I'm saying?
I just like this Carl on the Breakfast Club just on my social media.
Yeah.
And him like he's like
That dude said, I have no social media whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? You don't have no social media. He said, for what?
he said I got a website.
Say, what do I even care for? Because what's on social media for the most part? Nonsense and misinformation. You know what I'm saying? And that's and all that is for programming. They're programmed. That's why we talk. Ain't nobody would have known nothing about no relationship goals if it wasn't no Facebook and Instagram. You wouldn't even use that terminology. You were programmed with that. You didn't even know you were programmed with it. You programmed to say, let me take a selfie. Let me tell you about my trip. That's programming. They're programming you to think and move in a particular type of way. This is why the text says, when I was a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put these things away. I mean, you're supposed to be wiser than to fall for the folly. Again, like I mentioned, the mermaid thing, that's programming. Let me get you niggas riled up. You don't even know if any white person had a problem with that. They just told you one did and you were triggered. You don't know if Colin Kaepernick said don't put that shoe out, but somebody put it on the internet, so it must be true. I'm triggered. They put that Chris Brown lyric out there to trigger you because I have you operating in emotions. And if I have you operating in emotions, I can push you around the chessboard any way I want to. Because all I have to do is find, this is what they do with MK assets. I know your triggers. I trigger you. I trigger you to get you to do what it is that I want you to do. We supposed to say we the people of Yah and we the sons of Yah and we serve Yahushua, but yet we're emotional creatures. No, you're not a son of Yah. You're a son of Adam, possibly a son of Belial. You know what I'm saying? And you have to look at it in that fashion. You have to literally separate yourself from the world and from your emotions and look at things according to the Ruach. That's why they want you to worship the mother goddess, because she's emotional. Yahuwah is Ruach. Yahuwah is not moved by emotions. You know what I'm saying? He's not moved by emotions. He's moved strictly by his spirit, which means he's moved strictly by the breath or by his word. That's how he moves. He doesn't move in any other fashion other than that. We don't have that understanding because you're not taught that. You know what I'm saying? That's why every god or goddess is tied to some human act. The god of vegetation, the god of rain, the god of lust, the god of blood, the god of this, the god of that. It's to tie you to human, and that's how you know a man created them, because they're all tied to human emotion. Yahuwah ain't tied to none of that. He just says, I am, that I am. Let that be known. I'm self-existing and self-created. Got any questions? Holla at me when you feel like it. I tell it to you. You know what I'm saying? This is why he's saying what he's saying. They run into riot in the daytime. Their spots, their blemishes, deceivings, while they feast with you. So while they coming through to want to feast with you on Pentecost, on unleavened bread, whole time, they deceiving you because then really they want to riot. They hoping everybody take all their clothes off and just go to hanging and swinging, sipping wine for Aphrodite. You know what I'm talking about? For Demetrius, for Demeter or Artemis. Don't you know it's a nigga in the Marvel Cinematic Universe named Artemis? You know who Artemis is? I'm gonna read you who Artemis is in a minute. Just hold on, wait for me. You know what I'm talking about? He's hold on, I got you. No, that's a different nigga. Yeah, Artemis. That nigga, that's a well, Artemis. I don't know, nigga. Shoot, depending on who you talk to, that might how they pronounce it. But I'm gonna show you that hole in the text. That bald-headed hole in the text. You ain't know that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Them people wicked, man. He said, having eyes full of adultery that cannot cease from sin, beguiling unstable souls, as they have a heart exercised with coveted practice, cursed children, which have forsaken the right way, are gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Bosor, who loved the wages of unrighteousness. Because Balaam knew what them people around there were doing with Baal Peor. Because remember, who paid it? Moab did. King of Moab did. So what you think Moab was around there doing? Hitting niggas in the bunghole? No, niggas around here like this, around here with their Beavis and Butthead for Cornholio. That's what they was out there doing. Come over here to Acts 17. Let me show you Artemis. Is she a bald-headed hoe regardless? She just a bald-headed hoe. I said what I said. Acts 17. Y'all know about that bald-headed hoe. You done read about her for. Let me show him in the right spot. Them people smooth with their idolatry in them. They smooth with it. My bad, not Acts 17, Acts 19. Acts 19 about verse 20. It is something in Acts 17. I got a little ahead of myself. Yeah, I got a little ahead of myself. 19 and 17 is better. Matter of fact, make it 19 and 12. It says, so from his body were brought unto the sick handkerchiefs or aprons, and diseases departed from them, and evil ruachs went out of them. Then certain men of the Vagabond Yahudim, exorcists, took upon them to call over them which had evil ruachs, the name of the Lord Yahushua, saying, we adjure you by Yahushua, who Paul preached. And there were 7 sons, one of Sceva, a Yahudim, a chief of the priests, which did so. The evil ruach answered and said, Yahushua I know, Paul I know, but who are you? And the man of whom the evil ruach was leaped on them and overcame them, prevailed against them, so that they fled out of that house naked and wounded. And this was known to all the Yahudim and the Greeks dwelling at Ephesus. And fear fell on them, and the name of the Lord Yahushua was magnified. And many that believed came and confessed and showed their deeds. Many of them which used curious arts brought their books together and burned them before all men. And they counted the price of them and found it 50,000 pieces of silver. So mightily the word of Elohim grew, the word of Elohim, and prevailed. After these things were ended, Paul purposed in the Ruach, when he had passed through Macedonia and Achaia, to go to Jerusalem, saying, after I have been there, I must also see Rome. So he sent into Macedonia 2 of them that ministered unto him, Timotheus and Eratus. But he himself stayed in Asia for a season. And the same time arose no small stir about that way. For a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, who made silver shrines for Diana, brought no small gain unto the craftsmen, whom he called together with the workmen of like occupation, and said, sirs, you know that by this craft we have our wealth. Moreover, you see and hear that not alone at Ephesus, but also throughout all Asia, this Paul has persuaded and turned away much people, saying that they be no gods which are made with hands. So not only is this our craft in danger to be set at naught, but also the temple of the great goddess Diana should be despised, and her magnificence should be destroyed, whom all Asia in the world worship. And when they heard these things, they were full of wrath and cried out, saying, great is Diana of the Ephesians. Well, Diana is Artemis. That's her name in another culture. Hold on, y'all. Let's talk about Diana. And guess what? You think it was an accident they rolled out that bald-headed hoe by the name of Princess Diana and shoved her down your throat? They made her an idol. That's all they do. And as we were talking about the other day, this is what they do. That's what they did with Nipsey Hussle. This is what they did with Pac. They did it with Big. They find a nigga, they make him an idol while they're alive, and they kill him so you can idolize them when they dead. And they usually kill them and model their lives after some pagan mythos. You know what I'm talking about? So they can continue the story. Well, here's Diana. She's a Roman goddess of wild animals and the hunt. She's also identified again with the Greek goddess Artemis, and her name means sky and daylight. And Wonder Woman is also an archetype of Diana. Or the real name?
What's the name of this?
Yeah, I can't remember. Ain't that son? Them niggas dirty now. They slide it in. But you see how mad they got? They said, boy, this nigga here messing up our money. They said, boy, we gonna have to kill these niggas. They fooling with our bread.
They brought no small game.
Small game. Hold on, man. Let me see. Let's see what she got for the rights of Diana. Let's see what they like to do. She is also known as Lucina and the Lightbringer and the Night Goddess. You honor Diana by loving animals and leaving food for her creatures. You took the time to clean your yard and go into the woods and send healing energy into the earth. Well, guess what? You know what other god has something to do about going in the woods? Besides Asherah, another god like to go in the woods. Y'all know who that god is? That's that boy Pan. But that's really Pan is Ptah. Ra King Ptah. Faith conscious king. And what Ra King we talking about? Why your butthole looked like a grapefruit? Because he was down with Pan. But Pan is really Ptah, the Egyptian deity Ptah. That's Molech. We getting to Molech. That's another deity. That's Molech. Leviticus chapter 20. That's Molech. Anytime you see an owl, that's Molech. Guess what's on the public library downtown? Owl with a key. Because the owl is nocturnal, so he sees things that you don't. So if you come to the owl, see, we was going to get to that because he said the abominations of Milcom. Milcom is Molech. Oh, the owl, absolutely. Because the owl can see things. See, you don't know what I know. That's another reason why they put the finger over their mouth. Anytime you see a nigga do that on the photograph, he say he know the craft and he's giving veneration to another idol god. It's all the same.
No, I don't think that. I think she was the nature.
She is, but I mean that junk all be the same.
Yeah, I don't get it.
That's a different aspect of her. But I think Earth is a different
Yeah, depending on who the culture is it's going because they all take these people and mix. That's why you still, you see the thing at Bohemian Grove. Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 1.
Investors all swore
They gonna take my worship. Like a vagina. This is why Yahuwah is real implicit about. That's why he said, I looked out the window to see the sons of men, to see which one was lacking understanding. Because you ain't supposed to be weak for no coochie, stupid nigga. You know what I'm saying? I made you first to lead. You can't lead if you weak for some vagina. How you gonna be able to lead? That means your leadership, you're gonna go where the vagina takes you. And that's why you live in a society of weak-willed men who will not lead them. Because, man, we already know this here. A woman cannot lead herself. She can't do it. I don't care what these people tell you, a woman cannot lead herself. You know what I'm saying? Because if we leave you to your own devices, you know that you're going to make a mistake over and over and over again, and you're going to want somebody to feel sorry for you for your stupidity. You know what I'm saying? Because that sounds like that's what you were talking about on the phone when we were on way over here. You sound like you're being stupid. You know what I'm saying? But you know why she moving in that fashion? Because there's no man to tell her, this is what you going to do.
Yeah, because that's what we have to talk about. Daddy still with the I love you on Facebook.
That's unfortunate. Close that door. I don't know tone or down. Might have called him a little later. I'm not familiar with those guys. You know what I mean? But you have to think about that though. Like you already see that in the text. We already know that. The woman went from her father's house to her husband. You can't. A woman, at the end of the day, though, if you ask any woman deep down inside, that's what they want. They want a man of structure in order to lead them. What do women say? I just want a man to come so I don't have to keep being this superwoman, because she already knows she outside her role. She already knows that's not what she's supposed to be doing. Nor does she actually, in reality, want to do it. You know most people who be feminists, oh, bald-headed, fat, ugly hoes ain't nobody pay no attention to. That's the only way they gonna get some attention. You know what I'm talking about? He's not gonna pay attention to me for my stunning good looks. I'm a handsome one. You know what I'm talking about? I'm quite portly. You know what I'm talking about? He's not into that. So let me run around here and tell her I hate men. Maybe men will pay me attention now.
She was the lower class deity. She was considered to be the protector of the lower class slaves. She took sanctuary in her temple, and her biggest temple was in the Greek city of Ephesus.
Yes, sir.
You know there was wolves in that worship.
Yeah. That's why Paul was there. That's why Paul was there. See, that goes back to the point of what I'm saying. In that time of antiquity, they knew all of this, so they can see it and identify it, because you could make a temple to Diana, but they're not going to do that now, because they know it's not going to be well received what actually goes on in there. You know what I'm saying? So they have to cloak it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of churches, are they temples of Diana? Some of them may be. Most of them probably aren't. What I'm talking about is for what's going on in there. Most of them are simply not but temples to the sun, because they can't perform the pagan rites in them that certain people would prefer that they would. You know what I'm saying? They have to do that they got to do that at the Mason Hall. You know what I'm saying? They have to do that at the sorority house. That's where they have to do that at. Or mansion parties. That's where they have to do that at. They can't do that at the mosque. They can't do that at the church house, because it's not going to go over well with the general public. You know what I'm saying? So we have to do it clandestinely and then work out these rituals. That's why I don't watch award shows, because they corny, but in reality, that's all they doing is walking out bacchanalian rites. You already know these people know who won before they got here, and they're sending these people up there on this stage for the specific purpose of casting spells to influence the people. We might have just been talking about it, but that whole thing they did with Kawhi Leonard, that's already pre-planned. You know what I'm saying? This is pre-planned, because what they kept saying, storylines, because I have to keep you engaged till October. You know what I'm saying? See, the NBA don't start again till October. So I got 3 months that I have to work to keep you engaged. The same way they do it with the NFL. That's why they push the draft back. That's why they push free agency back, because football ends in January. And I need to keep you engaged till August gets here. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, they're not as prevalent.
No, I'm just saying that it's easier to manipulate a storyline when you prominent people. You got things. Yeah. The teams don't be having but 1, 2, 3 prominent.
And that's true, because
so it's easy to swing the narrative.
Because see, David Stern did this on purpose. The NFL does not promote stars. The NBA promotes stars. So this allows you to get invested in a caricature. And then when I get you invested in the caricature, then I can write the storyline.
That's how I
Word.
Yeah, really good job.
But see, they do have players that they promote, but they're quarterbacks. The average person cannot relate to a Tom Brady. He's married to a supermodel, this, that, there, and the third.
All these niggas, no one's pushing on them. They don't have in the NBA.
No, not at all.
No one's gonna really engage.
No, but the reason why I say that, because in the NFL, I can't see your face. You got a helmet on. I don't get a chance to see flash and panache and your personality. You know what I'm saying? But on that court, I see you. An NBA game, you can sit courtside. This nigga might jump in my lap. I can touch this nigga. I can smell his sweat. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So there's an intimacy there. And on top of that, everybody can't play football. Anybody can play basketball. Doesn't cost any money. You can play basketball at any time. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is that the average person has played basketball in some capacity and has not played football. I ain't talking about hot ball or a little 3-on-3 in the street. I'm talking about play a real game of football 11-on-11, how it's supposed to be played. You can't do that. Regardless of your skill level, almost everybody's played basketball. You know what I'm saying? That's also the difference in the WNBA because nobody wants to watch bulldaggers play ball. You know what I'm saying? Because that's all WNBA for is to promote lesbianism. And whatever that chick was who played for Minnesota, she came out and said that they pressure you to be lesbians. And that these bulldagger hoes hit on them 24/7, 365. She said that's why she retired. Her name escapes me at this time. Candace Wiggins. That was her name. She played for the Minnesota Lynx. She retired, and she said ain't nothing but bulldagger. That's what happened to Cheryl Swoops. Cheryl Swoops came in the WNBA, a heterosexual woman, and left out a bulldagger. Now she done switched back. You know what I'm saying? Y'all may not know who Cheryl Swoops is. She played for the Houston Comets. At the time, she was considered to be the female Michael Jordan. You gotta remember something. When the WNBA came out, they had primetime games on NBC. Now nigga don't even know when they playing. They season going on right now. You ain't know it. Because the NBA is promoting them. But this is a business that doesn't make any money. So what is it there for? To promote lesbianism. All them hoes look like they eat coochie. Every last one of them look like they carpet munch. Candace Parker might be a bulldog while you playing. It ain't but a handful. It ain't but a handful. But what? Just because they look like girls don't mean they dykes. That's a lipstick dyke.
No, yeah, I'm just saying they don't look like
lipstick.
Yeah.
That's not that big tall hoe. What her name is? That's not a Brittany Griner bulldog.
Yeah, exactly.
And that hoe got sued for child support. Yeah. Wasn't her baby, I tell you that. Yeah, big dummy. But see how that is to promote confusion and lesbianism? Remember, what does Babel mean? It means confusion. So when you look at Babylonian mystery school system, it's the hidden truth confusion school system. I have a hidden truth that will confuse you from the way of Yahuwah. That's what they're trying to do. I say we're not just gonna go in there, we just want to touch certain stuff. But let's read about Molech, because y'all know about how many of y'all in here familiar with Bohemian Grove? I'm only mentioning that because Bohemian Grove is coming up next month. They go out there to San Francisco. There's a clip of what his name is, Richard Nixon, saying that was the most faggotest thing he'd ever encountered in his life. Faggotest thing he ever encountered in his life. Say them niggas faggoty. Richard Nixon. He's on tape saying this. It's a recording of it. You can look it up. But he was a pedophile himself. That's what our homie said. Allegedly. Allegedly, he was a pedophile himself. Allegedly.
Isn't it said like all the congressmen?
Yeah, they say all the top entertainers, politicians, business people slide out there and worship Molech. You remember what his name Alex? What his name Alex Jones did his fake like he's nigga. You ain't sneaking Bohemian Grove, nigga. They let you in.
Oh yeah, I remember.
They ain't gonna let him go too far.
Man, that was all for show. Man, did you see that bad acting? What's going on? Oh, yeah, get this crack out of here, man. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? Get this man out of here, man. That junk wasn't real. That was a production. He right along with him. See, Alex Jones is what is called an agent provocateur.
They gotta do that.
I heard that.
They gotta let our information.
That's to do with it.
Like that's nothing to do. They can't grow. They gotta let it know a little bit.
A little bit. What's
a little bit.
What you say there? Yeah, it's InfoWars. He banned from Facebook now though. They say he can't get on Facebook because he said Sandy Hook wasn't real. So they banned it. Alex Jones been doing this nonsense for 25 years.
Nah, he part of the elite circle though.
He might be. I mean, he was on Joe Rogan podcast. Joe Rogan was clowning him. You know what I'm saying? Because Joe Rogan friends with him. Like he had, what his name is, Martin Sheen and Charlie Sheen on the show. He definitely had one of them boys on there talking about how 9/11 was fake. But these people know that. People in the inner circles, they know that because, you know, we were just talking about this. You know what 9/11 was symbolizing, right? If it's two towers, what you think that's symbolizing? It's the two pillars. It's Joe Chan and Boaz. They trying to, because you have to know about masonry to know that. Because if you go in a Mason Hall, they have the two pillars, Jochan and Boaz. That's what Solomon named the two pillars that were on our temple. He named them Jachin and Boaz. You know what I'm saying? That's why we was looking at this here. When you look at LeBron's school, it's got the winding staircases like this here because his school is a shrine to himself. If you actually see what's in it. Because those two winding staircases are symbolic of those Masonic pillars. And then that nigga got the black checkerboard all through the school with a shrine of himself next to Martin Luther King, what his name is, Muhammad Ali, and Jackie Robinson. Nigga, LeBron James is nowhere near an activist whatsoever. That nigga just a balding nigga who say some stuff and feel like niggas supposed to run behind him. What has LeBron James actually done? Where? Go to Taco. What that nigga was so ugly on that? No, they just wore a t-shirt that said I can't breathe. But you gotta realize something, like what his name is, what is that dude's name? Jason Whitlock. A lot of dudes don't like Jason Whitlock because they feel like he a coon. But Jason Whitlock be saying some real stuff if you get out your emotions. And he just did, hey, children, sit your behinds down and be quiet. Y'all parents told you that too many times, and yet you disregarded them. So we can do something for you and sit you in front of the wall, let you count the pain. So you know the last thing I just mentioned, that thing with Kaepernick, right? He was like, Jason Whitlock and he said, you know what? That's it for me. He said, I will no longer speak about this nigga on my show. I'm not gonna mention this nigga ever again, because he said, just like all you other social media activists and warriors, you complain and complain and complain with no solutions. He said the only reason why this nigga even got a platform is because you invest energy into this nigga. Because at the end of the day, the nigga's a fraud. If the nigga stood for something, he would have already came up for a solution. But you know how he got you? He got on the knee, which basically getting on the knee, he was venerating the mother goddess, and he was too stupid to realize that. Then on top of that, the nigga ducked off. Look at him. He gives his money to the poor. Whole time this nigga always got on all black, so he's showing you that he gives reference to Pan. You know what I'm talking about? And he wore different stuff with this all the time. Whole time Nike paying him millions of dollars. Do you know they said Nike stock went up after this because it wasn't nothing but a publicity ploy? They knew that junk wasn't gonna hurt no business. They didn't care nothing about no Betsy Ross flag. Betsy Ross didn't even make that flag. That's a historical lie. They teach you Betsy Ross made that flag. She didn't make that flag. Do your research. You know what I'm saying? Look for yourself. That's a lie. Like at the end of the day, what has Colin Kaepernick done in the last 2-3 years? Absolutely nothing.
Right.
What solution? He said he got a problem with, because if you really trying to do something, you're gonna have a solution to fix the problem. Okay, nigga, you've been getting on your knees. So what? You only get on your knees for 2 things. That's the venerated God, and you know what the other one is. Same token.
That's true though, because they showed that, man, them niggas, you go look, man, them niggas be sitting back down on the bench all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Really be back to sit on the bench like this.
That wasn't nothing new.
That wasn't that new.
Marshawn Lynch did it the whole time. You notice they ain't never make no stink about Marshawn Lynch doing it when it became a matter, because it was all emotional manipulation.
When it was like Kaepernick, he didn't stand for the black just to say that I don't have to represent. He said I'm just his flag.
That's not why he said he was doing that.
That's what I'm saying. What was his?
He said he was protesting against police brutality, and that a soldier came and told him it was more honorable for him to kneel than to sit. So that was a plant, and that was a false story for emotional manipulation.
Nigga like Mashal is just sit over there like screw it.
Yeah.
He kneeled, so he made it like
Yeah,
an
so
activist
come
type
see me.
Yeah.
Because Marshawn Lynch had been sitting during the national anthem. Matter of fact, they never made the players do nothing for the national anthem until the United States military started paying them money.
Because you kneeling is like man down, like first.
You have to peep when these people playing. That's confusion. And we're going to get to dealing with that soon. That Elohim is not the author of confusion. It's confusion. Leviticus chapter 20. Yahuwah spake unto Moses, and again, you shall say to the children of Yasharal, whosoever he be of the children of Yasharal, or of the strangers that sojourn in Yasharal, that get any of his seed under Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. I will set my face against that man, and I will cut him off from among his people, because he's given his seed unto Molech to defile my sanctuary and to profane my Kadash name. And if the people of the land do anyway hide their eyes from the man when he give his seed to Molech and kill him not, then I will set my face against that man and against his family, and will cut him off and all that go a whoring after him to commit whoredom with Molech, and from among their people. So you know this here, right? They took small children and they burned them in fire to Molech. In Bohemian Grove, there's like a 10-foot owl, and they throw children in the oven to Molech. Abortions are a symbol of sacrificing children to Molech. Majority of all the missing children in America are taken for satanic ritual abuse or to be sacrificed to a pagan deity. These kids just ain't popping up missing for no reason. These white folks is taking these children. See, I done researched this before. I don't know if y'all know this, but these people like to drink blood. They like to drink period blood. They say they do this because the blood, remember what does the law say? That the life is in the blood. So they believe that it's a life force energy. So this is why they do that. They like to put children in terror and kill them because they feel like that will allow them to get the energy from the child. These are actual pagan rites and rituals that people actually did at one time and still do. We have to move past to how niggas done put it in these YouTube videos as conspiracy theories and understand that this is the worship of another deity, and people have done this for centuries and millenniums, and they will continue to do so until the day of Yahuwah. They will not stop. But when we mentioned Dracula, Dracula is based off Akasha because she's the first vampire. Well, no, I take that back. Akasha, Dracula is off of Enkill, her husband, because she had him drink all her blood to become a vampire like her. So Dracula is based off of him. You don't think Bram Stoker knew that when he wrote that? You know what I'm saying? He knew that when he wrote that because that wasn't a. Now, of course, there was a man called, I forget his name, in Transylvania that was said to be the first vampire and the basis of Dracula.
They just call him that because he used to kill people, like slave people. They used to try to come and take over his town, the city. They call him that.
They called him, I can't remember.
Some man.
Go, Vlad the Impaler. That's his name. Vlad the Impaler. That's his name. And that's who they say Dracula is based off of, Vlad the Impaler. But it's based off Enkill. It's not based on him at all. He definitely was a psychopath. Yeah, Vlad the Impaler. That's why, one thing about it, right? It's good to know history. It's good, and it's good to know your culture, and it's good to know the cultures around you once you're rooted in your own culture. See, if you're not rooted in your own culture, then you don't need to take the time. This is why Yahuwah told them not to fool with you. Y'all not strong enough to be entertaining this stuff. You're not strong enough to entertain this stuff. See, come over here to Amos 5. This is another thing with Molech. You know, a lot of brews like to walk around with their star. Well, that's the star for Molech, and that's a pentagram. And that's the same thing you see with the Anarchy logo. It had a pentagram on it. You know what I'm saying? This was what these people did. And that picture I would tell you about with Mephistopheles, that's where they called him up from. And these niggas walk around with a pentagram for calling up demons on the Avenger shirt. And niggas go buy it and wear it. You know what I'm saying? And you don't even know it. But this is how they move to subtly get you to participate in their rituals with them. See, a nigga can't blame you when you don't know. It's different when you know. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, what that Solomon is like? You know, they be like Solomon ready.
Yeah, see, that's another thing. They made that up. There's a book about Solomon that said, Solomon participated in demonology. And that Solomon had a ring, which was Solomon's key, and that he had the ability to unlock portals to bring demons up. But that's only in Freemasonry. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they love Solomon in Freemasonry. You know what I'm saying? They love Solomon in Freemasonry for one reason and one reason alone, because he worshiped their deities. Because he allowed those women to convince him to worship their deities. That's why they venerate, because in their mind, Solomon one of them. But Solomon is not one of them. He just was a man who was simple in the head when it came to women. You know what I'm saying? That's why he tell you that. And his dad fell prey to the same victim. The only difference is he didn't worship another god. He just committed adultery and murder. Freemasonry is nothing but the Babylonian mystery school system or the Kemetic mystery school system, because that's all they're doing in the Mason halls. They're performing the rituals of ancient Kemet. But on the surface, they tell you it's a Christian organization, but the name of their God is Jah Bel Om. You know, Om is the name thing you do when you're doing that meditation. They say, Om, they call it on another God. They call it on it. You know who Baal is, and then they try to interject Yah. But in reality, what are you calling on? The mother goddess, the father, and Heru. Because at the end of the day, that's who they worship. Asar, Aset, and Heru. That's who they worship. Amos 5 and I'll make it 18. And like I said, this is for informational purposes, because you need to be privy to this information. Then when you see it, you're going to know what you're looking at. Because if you don't know what you're looking at, you could be affected by the programming when you're not aware of what you're looking at. You know what I'm saying? Because like he told you now, our warfare is not against flesh and blood, it's spiritual. So they're attacking you in a spiritual fashion. And if you don't know that the attack is going on, then how would you be able to defend yourself against it? You're just going to look at it as it's entertainment. Like I'm telling you something, when you look at ancient cultures, our people were not people who were into entertainment. That is a Roman Greek type of thing. They were into that. The Egyptians too, to an extent. You know what I'm saying? But the Romans and Greeks especially, they like to be entertained. You know what I'm saying? They entertain the people for the purpose of distracting them. I distract you from what I'm actually doing. So while you're investing all your time into the games that I give you to play, you're not paying attention to what I'm over here doing. Well, over here in America, they done took it to another level. You know what I'm saying? Because people live their lives to be entertained. You know what I'm saying? Like, you hear people on a regular basis saying, I'm finna binge watch a television show. Well, while you binge watch that television show, that took you 4, 5, 6, 7 hours away from something you could have been investing your energy in that could have been productive for your legacy and your children's children's children. Because guess what? The people who make decisions on your lives, they don't binge watch 6, 7 hours worth of television. They may not even watch 7 hours worth of television in a month. You know what I'm saying? Because they're focused on doing this and doing this and doing this and doing this. But they set that up on purpose. You know what I'm saying? If you came up and you were always entertained, what are you going to do when you get older? You're going to want to be entertained. Then you're going to pass that on to your children. And they don't just do that to black people. They do that to all people. Because I don't want you paying attention to what I'm doing. Look at what they did with Obama. They made that man entertain you for 8 years and it distracted you from everything that he was doing. You know what I'm saying? You weren't even aware of what he was doing because you were so enthralled and entertained with the Obama show. You know what I'm saying? Let him trot him out, say something funny. Hey, look at Mashal. Look at her outfit. You're distracted. That was a distraction for us. Because the white folks wasn't distracted. They were just mad. You know what I'm saying? Now you got Trump. You already know he is an entertainer by trade. I just heard a story where they say that the WWE is trying to get this man on SmackDown. Been on WrestleMania before. They're trying to get him on SmackDown. Absolutely. And guess what he was? An entertainer by trade. Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, became governor of one of the largest states, an entertainer by trade. That's one of the reasons why I was laughing so hard when Buddy came through and drop kicked him, because he deserved it. He got terminated. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what it is? Because guess what Trump do? Got the white folks happy. We're taking our country back. Niggas mad. You say you like Trump, a nigga want to kill you. Nigga, if you like America, nigga should have ought to want to kill you. Nigga, how you like it? We need see what happens. You should have voted for Hillary. One devil for another, huh? But at the end of the day, I'm thoroughly unconcerned with what these people do. This ain't my land. Huh? I'm a stranger in the pit. Change your perspective when you realize what you're working for, what you're working towards, and who you serve. Amos 5 and 18, though, man. He say, "Warn to you that desire the day of Yahuwah, and to what end is it for you The day of Yahuwah is darkness and not light, as if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall and a serpent bit him. Shall not the day of Yahuwah be darkness and not light, even very dark and no brightness in it? I hate and despise your feast days, and I will not smell your solemn assembly. See, that's why some brothers say you ain't got to keep no feast day. He said, I hate your feast days because you're wicked. So you're doing, see, you got to realize something, right? He said, a sacrifice with an unjust balance is an abomination unto Yahuwah. And then he said even more, he said the sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination. How much more if you bring it with a wicked mind? So just because you do certain stuff for Yahuwah doesn't mean that he want it if he know that you get 24/7 and you just doing it for show. You know what I'm saying? And he know you doing it for show. So he like, nigga, I don't with you, cuz. You know what I'm saying? You might have well sat out there and smoked you a stogie and drunk you old St. Ides or 211 Steel Reserve or whatever you're into. Because I don't want it. But sit back and look at this here, right? Because see, you're taught not to be this way. Because you see, he did that with Cain and Abel. You're taught that if somebody give you something that you should be happy for receiving it, instead of saying, you know what, I will not accept that. That'll hurt your feelings. You ungrateful bastard. No. See, you knew the standard for you did it. But yet you thought you couldn't bring me anything and thought that I was supposed to accept it. You know what I'm saying? That's no difference is if your husband said, I need you to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you decided to do X, J, Y, and Z, don't get mad at him when he tell you that's unacceptable. Because you chose to do what you wanted to do. And then he'd have the right to look at you and say, why has your countenance failed? If you do well, shall you not be accepted? You know what I'm saying? Because that's not what I told you to do. You know what I'm saying? But yet you chose to do what you wanted to do and thought I was supposed to accept it. And what do most women do in that regard? Well, I got these kids and I did this here and I do this here. And you very well do all those things. But nevertheless, you didn't do what I instructed you to do. Go get it corrected. And that's how Yahuwah feels. Don't come and bring me anything, nigga. And then think I'm supposed to take it and you fall out and throw a tantrum. Well, yeah, I did this. Just like what Saul did. But I did this and I did that. But that's not what I told you to do, baby. So you know what? You can get out of my house. Here's your bill of divorce. And his bill of divorce was his life. Like you have to consider things of that nature. You can't do that. But guess what America tell you to do? Or this society tell you to do? That a man should take whatever a woman bring her because she the woman. You know what I'm saying? I take care of the kids. Well, that's what a wife's supposed to do. What if I walk through and say, I pay the bills? What's the pay she? But that's what you're supposed to do, nigga. Ain't no 50-50 around here. You're supposed to be the provider. Bald-headed. That's goddess worship right there. That's what you're trying to do. But you have to see the hypocrisy in that thinking. You know what I'm saying? Because the minute that a woman wants a man to play his role and he mentions it or don't do it, it's a problem. But the minute that he holds her accountable to play her role, then she try to play I'm the mother, I'm the wife card. Well, guess what? You could have stayed a single woman too. You know what I'm saying? You had to take the same token. If that nigga come here, bro, I got to pay all these bills and take care of this woman. Well, you could have stayed a single man, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody want to hear that, cuz. That's a part of the job. You know what I'm talking about? You want to be a leader? That's what you got to do. You got to lead, son. You got to lead by example. So you don't want to lead, you should have stayed single. You didn't want to raise kids, my nigga, then you should have kept your penis in your pants. You know what I'm saying? And just had semen retention and stay strong. You know what I'm talking about? Straight up and down. But why is that the case? Because you've been taught to despise your Elohim ordained roles. You've been taught to, like I seen a chick just asked, if you made $1 million a year, would you still require your woman to pay half on the bills? And it said that 17% of the men who answered said yes, she will still have to pay half. You know what I'm saying? But why is it that way? But you know why it's that way? Because you women brought that on yourself because you said you wanted to be equal. And you said you wanted this, that, then the third. And you got a lot of dudes. You strong, independent woman. You don't need no man. And shoot. These are the same women who say this. And then when a dude say 50-50, I ain't your mama. But shoot, I ain't say you are. You know what I'm talking about? But you said this is what you want. You know what I'm talking about? See, you can't scream for equality. See, women in this society scream for equality when it fits them and it suits them. You know what I'm saying? But you still, you strong woman, you independent, you equal me on this rent. See, that don't sound right, do you? You don't like that. Don't make you feel good on the inside. Don't make your soul warm, does it? You know what I'm saying? But then you have these same women that say that I want this man to work all these hours and pay these bills and then help you with the kids. I think not. I think I'm gonna sleep. Because if not, you got to get a job help me pay these bills in. You want an old-fashioned man or you want an age man? Which one you want? You know what I'm talking about? Because you can't get both, baby. It don't work that way. You know what I'm saying? No, that's that new age stuff. You want a man to work 16 hours and then come home and do your job. Don't work that way. You know, I said, I don't know what you was in here doing, but I know full well by the time I clock out, I hope you clocked out. You know what I'm talking about? Shoot. You know what I'm talking about? Because shoot, I ain't trying to clock out and clock in, but that's new age stuff. You know what I'm saying? The man got to do this because basically at the end of the day, it's to marginalize him. That way you can berate him and say, I'm doing more, he's not doing enough, I'm actually elevated and greater, and the mother goddess complex still comes in.
But my sister posted that on Facebook talking about something. I don't want to work without me having to come home.
Oh yeah.
To no dinner and argue.
I wouldn't either.
And then, but she had commented that onto a post where a nigga saying that they gonna have to come work 4 hours a week, come home and go through and argue.
But your sister thinks she a man.
Yeah, then she was like, well, I don't want to come home after 4 hours a week and go there and argue.
That's why you ain't got no man.
I think we'll be home there arguing then.
But a woman who makes that statement 9 times out of 10, she ain't got no man.
She don't know, but I'm just saying. She don't, but that's the funny part. Because
ain't no nigga.
Get a nigga, you feel like you finna still work 20 hours and the nigga want to do for you, or do you really want a man?
No, she don't want a man. She want to be a man. You know what I'm saying? She want to be a man. She got penis envy. You understand? Penis envy. You know what I'm saying? That is a psychological term. You know what I'm saying? It's basically that. It's shoot. A lot of psychiatrists will tell you it's a lot of women out here got penis envy.
That's not the medical term. Theoretics behind it, stand somewhere better.
A lot of women in America have penis envy. They want to be a man. They want to play the role and operate and function as a man does. Like they scream as there's a wage gap. That's a lie. That's already been proven that that's a lie. It's not true.
Why would a woman want a man to work and take care of her and still want to go out and have and want to take care of her?
Because she's the mother goddess. Serve me. That's the mother goddess programming. I don't need a man, and the man is here to serve and to please me. At the same token,
But some women like that.
I would say in this culture, 85% of them are like that, and that's being generous.
The reason I say that, I think my mama take care of my daddy. She ain't never seemed like she crushed that thing right here.
Because she had the control and power, she didn't care. She was still more operating as the mother goddess because I rule over him.
Yeah, I'm saying I get that. I'm saying the aspect of how you want to go out and make all the money, and then you want the nigga to do that. That's what I'm saying. You
got some women who like that.
That's what don't make sense. Like, yeah, if you want to be the nigga, you making all the money, you make decisions, you spend the money how you want to spend it. You make the call, you make the money. I feel that. How you gonna do all that? Then you want niggas the same thing.
Because women are retarded in the brain.
That's what I was.
You know what I'm saying? And when I say that, because that's the mind of a child. She's confused. She don't know what she wants. You know what I'm saying? She don't know what she wants. I want to be the man on Monday and a lady on Wednesday and a slut on Friday. She don't know what she wants. Because when I say retarded, because emotions make you retarded. You can't think straight. You know what I'm saying? Male or female. If you're emotional, you can't think straight. And what do they say? You're emotionally unstable. Meaning you're retarded. You know what I'm saying? So that woman is ruled by her emotions. So she wants to be the man and the lady. That's why I say a woman don't know what she wants. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's her daddy to tell her what she wants. And then he give her to a man and he tell her what she wants. And that's why most women rebel. You're not the boss of me. But then you don't want a man then. And that's why a lot of them are home alone talking about I wish I had a man. You know what I'm talking about? playing with their pocket rocket. I'm just being honest though, because by nature the woman wants to be led and she wants to follow.
But being in society right now, she gotta be the best.
Because a bunch of, because this is a society that's taught you to worship women. So now she grows up feeling like I ought to be worshiped and served hand and foot, and I'm entitled to this because I have a vagina. What are they talking about? The most powerful force on the world is a vagina. No, it's not. It's a temporary feeling. How can something temporary be powerful? It's only powerful because you give yourself over to it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have any power over you unless you allow it to have power. But this allows the woman to elevate herself. Because I guarantee you, if most of you women in here had their daddies were stronger, your thought process would be extremely different if you were moderated from the time you were born until you hit puberty and so on and so forth. But because you were not moderated in the proper fashion, that's why you think and move in the ways that you do in certain areas, because that wasn't provided for you. You know what I'm saying? And we've already discussed this too many times, that if you leave a woman to her own devices, the book already tells you this. If you profane your daughter to be a prostitute, she will cause the land to fall into whoredom, because she's going to do what feels good at the moment, and niggas is going to follow right behind it. He already know this. So that's why I mentioned that before, that she sexualizes herself if she's not moderated. You know what I'm saying? She has to be moderated. She has to be told, put some clothes on. You would think that she would know to put some clothes on. You know what I'm saying? Y'all ever heard a story about when Fantasia got raped, what she said her daddy told her? He told her, stop dress. You dress like a whore, you're going to get raped. And when she got raped, you know what her daddy told her? That's why I told you not to dress like a whore and walk off. And you know what people say? That's wrong with compassion. Ain't no compassion, because I already told you what to do, and you told to be rebellious and do what you want to do, and you suffer the consequences for it. I have no compassion for you. You don't listen. But you see, that sounds rough, but that's how a strong male leads. I told you what it was. I told you what, and then Yahuwah tell them, don't eat from this tree. This is what's going to happen. And when they did it, did he have compassion? He said, you know what? You curse, you curse, you curse. I'm going to cover you up. Get out my house. You know what I'm saying? No, is that not what he did? That's what he did. That's what he did, because I already set the order in. So you have to have that. You know what I'm saying? We always hear them terms, daddy's girl. And what's a daddy girl really? Somebody whose daddy let that little girl do whatever she wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? No, she got to be moderated. The son has to be trained and given the tools to equip to be able to lead, so he can moderate his wife and moderate his daughters. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to be able to do that. That's how it's structured. Because again, it's no disrespect to a woman. They're just emotional creatures. And when you're emotional by nature, you will make bad decisions. But you know what's funny is a woman will clown a man who's emotional because they know he ain't got no business being like that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna respect no emotional man. Look at this nigga here crying like a hoe. That's the first thing you say out your mouth. When the little boy go to crying, he's crying like a girl. But then when you do it, I'm supposed to have some sympathy for you. You see the hypocrisy in that? That doesn't make any sense. But y'all know, especially in your teenage years, a lot of the things you wanted to do and the thoughts you had didn't make sense to you. But you're like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do it, see what happens. Then when it blow up in your face, you sitting back looking around, see, it was that nigga fault. What you cheesing for? That's what you did all through high school, didn't you? Let your friends talk you into smoking weed and drinking white liquor. She was in there in the bathroom drinking gin so she can sin. She knows what she was in there doing. Amos 5:22. He said, though you offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them. Neither will I guard the shalom offerings of your fat beasts. Take you away from me the noise of your songs, for I will not hear the melody of your viols. But let judgment run down as waters and righteousness as a mighty stream. Have you offered unto me sacrifices and offerings in the wilderness 40 years, O house of Yasharal? but you have borne the tabernacle of your Molech, and Cheon, your image is the star of your God, which you made to yourself. So he said the whole time they was in the wilderness, they was in there sacrificing to other gods. And not only sacrificing, let's see what they used to do with Molech, besides setting the children on fire. Because you know people like to set children on fire. Now this was the god of the Ammonites. Now you remember he told you don't fool with them. It was a group of people you can't fool with. He said he was a god, the god of unnatural cruelty and unnatural uncleanliness. So we know he liked to do some real weird stuff. This here don't got enough information on this man. Now I can't recall. Go ahead.
You ever seen bros on social media saying women get abortion and they get children to Molech?
Because in reality, that is a sacrifice of Molech. Because if I'm not mistaken, they take the aborted fetus and burn it. But don't quote me on that. That's allegedly. It's all alleged. We'll move on. Let me read you this stuff I got over here for the Avengers, though. We already talked about Kali. I think this might be a little bit of what you had shared, Nisha, but let me see what we got here. Now, we already know about Thor. We don't have to go too much about Thor. You know, Thor is the Norse god. You know what I'm saying? He's also a Mashiach archetype if you study history. Now you got Loki. He is Poseidon. Loki is the personage of Poseidon. Y'all know who Poseidon is, right? We just talked about him last night. And I'm glad you mentioned Dagon. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 5. You know the hat that the Pope wear? That's for Dagon. Oh, you should have been wiser than that.
Yeah, definitely.
Who you telling?
Oh, bro.
1 Samuel 5:1. Yes, that is the fish and the water god. Dagon is the fish god. This 1 Samuel 5:1. That's Poseidon. 3 prongs. Why does he have a 3-pronged staff? For the Trinity, for the mother goddess and Osiris and the sun. Yeah, that's what that symbol for Yahusha is for Poseidon, for Dagon. But let's look at what Yahuwah did to him. He said the Philistines took the ark of Elohim and brought it from Ebenezer under Ashdod. And when the Philistines took the ark of Elohim, they brought it into the house of Dagon and sat it by Dagon. Dagon literally looks like a mermaid. Literally looks like that. You know what I'm saying? And absolutely. And niggas around here, you niggas go see Little Mermaid use a fool, but leave that junk in your childhood where you found it at. You know what I'm talking about? At the end of the day, that's how you got to look at certain stuff. Leave it where you found it at. You know what I'm saying? Ain't none of y'all gonna pick up fornication, right? You're gonna leave that where you found it at. You know what I'm saying? You're lesser. That's about being converted. Remember what the word for converted is, which is shu, which is taking that shan and pairing you to the sacrifice of the son or to the house. That's what you're converting for, to be joined to Elohim. You're not converting for the sake of converting. You have to sit back and look at that. Most of us who pick up the word, niggas, is not changing. You're not returning. You're not converting. So that's the objective, is to change. That's why he say to renew your mind and transform your mind. That's what he's telling you that. He say when the Philistines took the ark of Elohim, and when they of Ashdod arose early on the morrow, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth before the ark of Yahuwah, and they took Dagon and set him in his place again. So you see what he did. Every tongue will confess and every knee shall bow. He made Dagon fall right in front of the ark to give obeisance to the true and living Elohim. He said, when they arose early on the morrow again, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the ground before the ark of Yahuwah, and the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hand were cut off upon the threshold. Word. He said, only the stump of Dagon was left to him. Therefore, neither the priests of Dagon nor any that come in Dagon's house tread on the threshold of Dagon and Ashdod unto this day. But the hand of Yahuwah was heavy upon them of Ashdod, and he destroyed them and smote them with emerods, even Ashdod, the coast thereof. So when you see Loki and Avengers, this is who he's representative of. This is who he's representative of. Poseidon or Dagon or Neptune. And guess what? We got a Neptune beach, dirty bastards. You know what they're doing? Named a so-called planet Neptune because it's allegedly that they even out there. They everywhere. Now, of course, we talk about Hulk, and Hulk is similar to the god Hades. Y'all familiar with Hades. And he's also, but that's also taking you to Osiris, because Osiris was also the god of the underworld. Most of these, they got a lot of gods of the grave because they worship the dead. This is one of the reasons why he told you in Leviticus not to make markers that most brews teach you can't get a tape up or shave your beard, but they cut themselves for the dead. You know what I'm saying? This is why he told you not to make prayers for the dead or to go to the cemetery where the dead at. Because that custom of going to the cemetery talking to your dead, man, that ain't nothing but Osiris type stuff, man. Hades type worship, that's all that is. Go out here and talk to nothing. Shoot, if you were gonna do that, you could have talked to that nigga at the living room. I just seen somebody say I had a conversation with my mama today. My mama in an urn on the mantle. You ain't talk to your mama. You just talk to the sky, nigga, to the walls. You really talk to yourself. And then heard something in your head and told yourself it was your mama. You know what I'm saying? Once a person dead, it's over with. You know what I'm talking about? So at that point, the only thing you can do is pray you will have mercy on their soul and leave it at that. Anything else is uncivilized. It's extra. There's no need for it. You know what I'm saying? Because he don't operate like that. And as we went over before, if you know that we are in Elohim, then we are not without hope as others. So you know if an individual rested in Elohim, ain't no need for you to go through all that. If you look at your forefathers, they wept initially when somebody passed because they know I'm not going to see them. But remember what Lazarus' sister said, oh, I know he'll rise. You're supposed to have that level of confidence. And if you know that somebody wasn't in the word and they passed, you know it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, they made their choice. I can't sit around fretting because a nigga chose to go to hell. I know one thing about you. I won't see you there. God forbid. You made that choice for yourself. You know what I'm talking about? And I ain't finna be walking around here. Remember, we just talked about it the other day. You remember what he told Samuel about Saul? Shalom, man. What you crying about this nigga for seeing I rejected him? Better go handle your business. How you look like you crying to you? Please don't let my mama go to hell. Shoot, let her bust it wide open, far as I feel. Nigga asked me that one time. He said, how would you feel if your mama went to hell? I said, shoot, she earned it. And he said, how could you say that? Real easy. She earned it. If I knew another language, I'd say it in that one. You know what I'm talking about? Because you ain't finna get me to go against my Elohim because my somebody I care about and love chose to do something contrary to his will. I ain't finna shed a tear because you're going to hell. I shed a tear because you're gone. I ain't shed a tear because you're going to hell. Because at that point, I just told you who his judgment wrong. And I shall not. And I will not. You know what I'm saying? Won't do it. Because I don't love you that much. See, most of us have not got to that point, the transition that you love Yahuwah more than anybody on this earth. You got to love Yahuwah more than anybody on this earth. More than your children, more than your wife, more than your own life. If you don't get to that point, you'll never be able to be saved because something will always come in and divert your attention away from him. And you're poured all into that. You cannot have emotional attachments to anything in the flesh because everything in the flesh is temporary. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean you don't love your people. Don't mean you don't care about your people. But you cannot have emotional attachment because emotional attachments are not healthy. And once that what you're emotionally attached to is removed, there's a strong likelihood that you can have a mental breakdown. You know what I'm saying? That's why a lot of people don't handle death well because you're not really taught to handle death well. You know what I'm saying? If you're taught to handle death well, it's different. If you understand the script, you can handle that. If you don't understand the script, you're not going to be able to handle that. Whether they're righteous or whether they're not, you're not going to be able to handle that. It's a part of life. Everybody going to take that ride. You know what I'm saying? You just don't know when. People kill me. They died suddenly. Nobody died suddenly. They died when they were supposed to. You know what I'm saying? The book's been written, not been said. All you doing is just watching it unfold. Now, can you, I won't say you die when you're supposed, because you can get days extended to your life. Because he said that, because he extended Hezekiah. So I correct myself in that regard. You can also get your days shortened, because it says that in Ecclesiastes, and he said that in the law. Certain things you do can shorten your life. Certain, you can also be wicked and your life can be extended for the purpose of delaying your judgment. I cannot disagree with your assertion. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But it's just his perspective to have understanding. Like I said, they were sad when Lazarus died. They were sad when Samuel died. That doesn't mean you be like, I'm not sad. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you can be sad. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? But, and they had set times that they mourned. They mourned for like a month. You know what I'm saying? That was normal. After that month was over with, they was like, hey, man, back to business. You know what I'm saying? Because once they buried him, they knew they wasn't going back to the sepulcher to hang out. You know what I'm talking about? They finna be like this. I gotta go see my auntie. Already, exactly. That's another reason why he told you to leave that on the other side of the flood, because that's what they were doing. Because that's what the pyramids was too. They were tombs and graves, and these niggas going down there looking at mummies.
I know probably how that joke was set up. Like, it was a bunch of people in there.
Bunch of dead.
They ain't roll that door open to them trying to drop them in there. Niggas ain't going in the back no stuff.
No sir. And then remember, they got the what? The Egyptian Book of the Dead. That's what they worship. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the stuff that we do when people die is because you have learned this from these people's culture unbeknownst to you. So now you're worshiping the dead. And you don't realize you're doing it because you've been programmed to do so. Because you've seen so many television shows, so many movies, heard so many songs, seen so many music videos of people visiting graves. You know what I'm saying? Hey, niggas getting dead people tattooed on their body. Niggas walk around with dead man shirts on. I'm not walking around with no dead man shirt on. You know what I'm saying? Niggas getting their jeans, dead man pants, and dead man chain. I'm not doing all of that. That's what my homeboy daddy called it. They said this nigga walking around here with his dead man t-shirt on. I fell out first time I heard that nigga say. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, dang, that nigga right, that is a dead man t-shirt. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to look down and see a nigga I know ain't coming back the whole day. That could do something to your mental state. You know what I'm saying? And that's not good. That's not good. You know what I'm saying? Because grieving is hard. So you have to approach it in for lack of a better term, in a logical fashion so that you can cope correctly. You know what I'm saying? Because if you do the wrong things to cope, it could damage you mentally and not allow you. And it causes some people to blame Yahuwah and be angry with him. You know what I'm saying? Well, we all on borrowed time, so to speak. The minute you was born was the minute you were getting ready to die. That's why the book say you're supposed to cry at a nigga birth and not at his death. You ain't never seen nobody cry at somebody's birth, other if it were tears of joy. I'm talking about cry. Like, you supposed to sit back and look, this nigga got born into a world of hell. A world of iniquity and sin and idolatry. You know what I'm saying? But when somebody die, you supposed to be relieved because they at rest and they'll meet their maker and receive a full reward. See, we not taught that.
I mean, that makes sense.
We ain't supposed, that's why I mentioned that in 1 Thessalonians 4. We not supposed to sorrow as others who don't have no hope. A nigga outside the house, they ain't got no hope. We supposed to have hope. He said, whosoever live and believe me will never taste death. I'm the resurrection and the life. We ain't supposed to be walking around here hopeless. As if we not going to get up from the dead and be met and meet our Elohim in peace and receive white garments and a crown and palms in your hand. You ain't supposed to have that mentality. And none of these other gods teach none of that junk other than reincarnation. That's not no you're talking about you're going to come back as a fly. You ain't come back as a fly, nigga. You know what I'm talking about? I don't come back as a woman. Nigga, what? Because this is a teaching that people have, that we're all energy and energy can't be destroyed. It can only be transformed. Nonsense. It's appointed a man unto man once to die, and after that, the judgment. Bottom line, point blank, period. That's what it is. That's what it's always going to be. Ain't that nigga came back and said, you remember me? I'm Booker T. Washington. No, you're not, nigga. Your name, nigga say your name. I can't think of one of the names that nigga be using in them skits. You know what I'm saying? But you're not Booker T. Washington. You got Bruce who teach that they David reincarnated and that they Paul reincarnated. Nigga say I'm Paul. You Paul? Tell me something about Paul I ain't know. Look here, man. It's an ugly world we live in, man. Niggas play a lot of games, you understand? Who's the next one here we got on here, man? Oh, this phone probably finna cut off. I'm gonna get to I wanted to get astrology too for old Slim Laszlo, because he asked about astrology. And it's definitely I studied astrology on the road, and it definitely ain't who you think it is. I can tell you that.
All that's the same.
Most of them niggas name stars. They got me after stars.
They did. Now Iron Man, he's got on here Iron Man is which is a different name for Vulcan, Hephaestus. You know what I'm saying? God, a blacksmith for the gods, and he can make anything the gods need. Just like Iron Man made all the weapons that everybody needed. I'm not familiar with Black Widow, but they say Black Widow is similar to Athena, the goddess of wisdom and battle strategy. You definitely don't mess with no Black Widow on her. You know what that means? She killed her mate. She's a man conqueror. Y'all know that song. Y'all know about Hall & Oates? She's a man eater. You don't know about that song, do you? You don't know about that song? Whoa, here she come. Back up, boy. She'll chew you up. He ain't talking about chewing up no meat, though. Hall & Oates, that's them two white boys come through in the clutch. Yeah. You know about Sarah's song, nigga. You done heard that song, that melody, and that sample in many a song. And you ain't know that with two white boys. Them white boys on point, too. Oh, yeah, you done heard it. If we were to play the song right now, that melody, you'd be like, I know that song. Oh, yeah, you talking about how the outwardness, you just have to teach them about it, not to serve them. That's all, bro. I'm glad you, because I forgot to mention. Captain America is similar to Prometheus. He was willing to give humans anything they needed to survive on the earth and to protect them against gods. I forget Prometheus' other name. No, he escapes me out of this. I was going to go through Acts, where, in Acts they called Paul and Barnabas Apollos and Jupiter. So they were calling Paul Zeus, which basically they were calling Paul Osiris. You know what I'm saying? But we'll get to all of that, though. It's a lot. Hawkeye is Artemis. That's who Hawkeye is. We just talked about that ball head. And that's all of them. Now let's look at what they call them niggas. Ain't what they call them niggas. The Justice League. That's what they call them niggas. Now, Superman is Zeus. He's the ruler of the sky with unlimited power. Batman is Hades as well, the Dark Prince. He like to hang out in the dark. Batman never come out in the sun. Aquaman, we just talked about that last night. That's Poseidon. Wonder Woman is Hera. Artemis is simply Artemis. They were just pretty much blatant with that one. Didn't even try to hide it. Hawkman is Ares. Green Lantern is Hephaestus. And Green Arrow is Apollo. Now, when you look at Green Lantern, they made a movie. What's that white boy name? What's his? Ryan, what was his last name? He played Green Lantern. If you pay attention to Green Lantern, you can see that he's a Mashiach archetype. I'm not familiar with X-Men, so. Yeah. The only movie of X-Men I ever seen was when we went to go see Logan. You know why? You know why it was garbage? Because they're removing all the male characters and replacing them with females for the purpose of goddess worship. That's why he had a daughter, and they're going to come out with that and continue on the same way they. But the purpose is to set something else up. And then that's why they made Captain Marvel a woman. Because I was a man. And I seen that from what the dude was talking about, they made Nick Fury look like a real sucker when he's supposed to be a gangster. You know what I'm saying? No, I had seen long before Captain Marvel came out that he was a man, and the dude said that movie was outright trash. You know what I'm saying? And that there was another X-Men movie or some other Marvel movie coming out, and they ditched it because the people said it was outright trash because they're continuing to push the feminism angle in the films. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where they're going with everything. You know what I'm saying? It's to destroy the masculine principle. And it's been gradual, but now they just been like, screw it. Yeah, speed it up. You niggas ain't moving fast enough for our taste. You know what I mean? But push the program. At the end of the day, that's why. And the reason, like I said, how that when it said that foolish woman is clamorous and she's simple, knowing nothing, because all these goddess archetypes are to draw you in. Because usually when they make depictions of them, they're real nice looking women. They pull you in, and you don't realize death is at her front door. And you're gonna die for food. And that's why, and see, okay, we're supposed to be in the word, notwithstanding. But that's why it's important when you meet a woman to know what she believes. And then to give her time to manifest that is what she believes. You know what I'm saying? Because we talked about this before. If a woman want a man, she will put on an Academy Award-winning performance for as long as necessary to get that man. You know what I'm saying? And once she gets that man, you're going to see the goddess in her. Because if you read all the stories of every goddess, they cause utter chaos and confusion everywhere they went. All you have to do that. That's why I don't understand why our women were around here talking about their goddesses. I'm the 6-foot goddess. Like, did you read on this? Oh yeah, there's a chick on Instagram, the 6-foot goddess. Half naked all the time. Always walk around with her penis and vagina, as an aunt. Because that's what it is. It's a female-male principle. And exactly with the bar in the middle joining them together. Yeah, you meet anybody say they a goddess, I'm trying to tell you, you better run. Because that's a woman who's trying to destroy you. That's a woman who operates with masculine energy, with a narcissistic, idealistic mind frame. You know what I'm saying? How can you say how can an individual be bold enough to say they're a god and mean it? Not a son of God, not a daughter of God. I'm a god. I'm a goddess. You gotta run. That nigga's evil. She is evil. You know what I'm saying? And she's gonna bring nothing but chaos and confusion into your circumference. You know what I'm saying? Because Elohim is not the author of confusion. He doesn't work. Let's sit back and look at it, right? Because we pretty much are in for what we're going to do for the day. But remember when we done talk about shalom, right? When you look at the characters, what do they represent? To destroy the authority attached to chaos. At the end of the day, the gospel of Yahushua has one objective, and what is that to do? It's to destroy death. Well, what is death brought on by? What James told you. He say, brethren, when you tempt it, resist, because when lust is conceived, that bring forth sin, which bring forth death. You know what I'm saying? Because sin is what brings the chaos and confusion. So the whole purpose of the word is to destroy chaos and confusion. This is why he say, look unto Yahushua, the author and finisher of our faith. And you who are willing, we'll go into that in greater detail. Because when you look at people who are of the adversary, they're constantly in chaos and in drama. You know what I'm saying? Chaos and drama is different from tribulation, because tribulation is just trouble. That comes along in life. He said you got to enter into much tribulation to enter into the kingdom. That is not drama and chaos. Drama and chaos is entertained or incited. You know what I'm saying? If you know people like to be dramaed out, you can't entertain that on a regular basis because they're trying to pull you into their confusion. Once I pull you into my confusion, then I can utterly destroy your life. Because and we didn't talk about this here for the most part because women are emotional. That's why women are considered to be agents of chaos. Because most women like chaotic environments. Because out of that chaotic environment, she can find her way to usurp authority and to have control. Because the average man will not operate in a chaotic environment. So if I can get him in a chaotic environment, I can chip away at his masculinity and rule over him. You know what I'm saying? Again, this is why people look at a man who's dramaed out as a feminine man, because you know that's a feminine attribute. You know what I'm saying? To cause chaos. Well, guess what? I forget the statement, but there's the in the Greek or the Latin how it's used, but they have a statement called order out of chaos, and it's on the back of the dollar bill. You know what I'm saying? Because they like to cause chaos to bring the rule that they want to bring in. Matter of fact, it was one more thing I wanted to hit. Isaiah 46:1. Because we still got to tie all this stuff to the beast and all that other type of stuff. Yahuwah willing. But you have to look at that, because if you of Yahuwah, he said those of Yahuwah are what? He said there's no shalom to the wicked, right? That's what he said in Isaiah. So if there's no shalom to the wicked, that means the wicked always have chaos. Those, remember Yahushua, before he died, he said, my shalom I leave with you, not the shalom that the world leaves, because the world is constantly in chaos. This is why he told you not to love the world, nor anything in the world, because the love of the world is the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. That is chaos. You know what I'm saying? He's coming to destroy chaos. So when he's destroying chaos, there's a structure and an order of a godly fashion that's set, and you like to remain at peace. You can always tell people who are of the adversary, because drama and chaos follows them wherever they go. And it doesn't matter who they interact with. It doesn't matter what city they go to. That is going to follow them. Those who of Elohim do not like drama. They don't handle it well. They will exercise themselves from that situation, or they could possibly just be so flustered because they don't know how to operate in that, because they're not accustomed to it. You know what I'm saying? If you're not accustomed to chaotic and disorderly environments, you will not know how to act. It will mess with your mental state. You know what I'm saying? Most people who are used to it, they either participate or they just ignore, because that's what they did in their youth, because that's what I'm used to. I'm used to niggas in here fighting and all this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I just go in my room and cut the video game. Or I go on my bed and cover my head up with the cover. I just wish they would stop. I want a new mommy. Being honest. But you have to sit back and look at that, because that's one, it's evidence of who of Yahuwah and who is not, to a certain extent, because some people are chaotic by nature. It was nothing that they experienced. It was no environment that they came from. That's just intrinsically in them. You have some people who are peaceful by nature by the same reason. That's how Elohim made them. Some people, it's learned. For most people, it's learned on both areas. To be chaotic and dramatic is learned. You were in an environment of that nature. That's what you learned. You know what I'm saying? But you have to realize something. The same way you learn something, you can unlearn it and be retaught. This is why you say you need to renew your mind. You know what I'm saying? Because you can be retaught. You don't have to. I mean, y'all done did that as far as what you say you claimed you believe. When you found out that, oh, I'm an Israelite and Yahuwah is the true Elohim, you unlearned previous information and you discarded it. And you have to have the humility to be able to say, whether it's of a spiritual nature or a natural nature, to say that I will unlearn and be retaught. You have to just let it go. I mean, it's waste. It's like a bowel movement. Don't nobody in here hold their bowels. You know what I'm saying? At least till you get to a toilet. Once you get to a toilet, you release your bowels. Well, you have to look at the things that you were taught that were not correct as a bowel movement, and let it travel through your intestines and through your colon, and release your bowels and let it go. Because that's all it is. It's waste. You don't hold on to waste. You know what happens to your body when it holds waste? Toxins develop, and usually organs shut down, or you get cancer. You know what I'm saying? So let it go. You know, Paul told you that. But Isaiah 46:1. Baal bowed down and Nebo stooped. Their idols were upon the beasts, upon the cattle. Your carriages were very heavy loading. They are a burden to the weary beast. Who in here is familiar with Baal and Nebo? Now, you know, Baal is also Beltane, and that's who they worship on May Day. When I was talking about the maypole, they worship Beltane. So you're out there worshiping the penis. Now, Nebo means prophet. So when you hear that, what did come to mind if you got Baal the god and Nebo the prophet? Because if Nebo's his prophet, Nebo's speaking on his behalf. Now, Nebo is the major god in the Assyria-Babylonian pantheon. He was a patron of the art, writing, and a god of vegetation. And he said, an instrument is held to be proper to him who inscribed the fates assigned to men by the gods. So he's the one who decided what would happen to somebody. He's also known as the god of wisdom and the scribe of the gods. And what is a prophet known as in our culture? Usually as a scribe. So let's go to Revelation 13. And again, this is still a part, and this is also regardless of because we haven't been focused on it directly. Everything we looking at still plays a role in the one major thing, and that's the mystery of iniquity, because that's the hidden truth of lawlessness. So all these things that these gods are doing and these people are continuing to do is the hidden truth of lawlessness, which of course y'all willing by the time we get completed. Oh, the woman they say married Yahusha, that, yeah, we talked about her last night, but not married Yahusha. They say that Asherah was Yahuwah's wife. Now they say Mary Magdalene married Yahusha, and 9 times out of 10, she was probably supposed to be representative of Asherah. If we was to go back and look at ancient paintings of Mary Magdalene and Faggot Bourget, then that's probably what we're gonna see. And you know what was crazy is that his daughter, who Caesar, his sister Caesar Bourget, Lucretia, she was a feminist and a pagan goddess worshiper, as her father was the Pope, which goes hand in hand. You know what I'm saying? But I'm talking about on the surface. You're looking at your daddy's a Christian and you worship pagan idols. If you look at it on the surface. 13. See, like I said, and all this stuff go into, like I had some other video, but the dude I was looking at, Jeremy Holloway, you know, he makes his little videos about real life, and he had the little video, you know, why good men, I mentioned to you that why good men don't marry their girlfriends. And that was going to the point of what I'm talking about the entitled nature of a woman. Now, they were stupid because they were living together, and this nigga jumping up and down in your guts because he comes home for lunch. That nigga walk in the house, he don't see no food cooking on the stove. He say popped open the microwave, don't see nothing in the microwave, see clothes all over the place. So he walk off and be like, you know what? I told you that I wasn't trying to spend no money because you said you wanted to go to Dubai. So I'm trying to save this and save that. And she was like, no, she steady talking like what was going on Facebook. And he like, well, what you been doing all day? Oh, I just been chilling. So he like, why you ain't got nothing for me to eat? She was like, oh, those are wife duties. He was like, well, baby, that's what you're supposed to do because that's who you is. You know what I'm saying? He said, am I a good provider for you? She's like, yeah. Do I protect you? She was like, yeah. He said, am I not showing you I'm a husband? She like, yeah. He said, do you not see how stupid you sound? Now, if you was to look at the interaction, you would see it as a man, as if a man was talking to a child, because she had no mental concept or capacity on what he was trying to say to her. You know what I'm saying? Which is showing another example of how a woman has to be moderated and led. Because he was trying to explain to her that you're not a wife just because you get married. You can get married and not be a wife. You can get married and not be a husband. You're a wife because that is intrinsically in you and that is what you do. You're a husband because that is intrinsically in you and that is what you do. Most people feel like when I get married, then I'll become a wife. Now, of course, again, they shacking up. So you were extending privileges to him that he did not deserve. You know what I'm talking about? But the things that you would do as a wife, you would have been doing them anyway, whether you married this nigga or not. To where if a nigga seen you and they started messing with you and they was noticing the things that you do, this is what men mean when they say she's wife material. They see things that she naturally does that nobody has to tell her what to do. No, but I'm talking about she cooking for him, she washing because they live together. Now it's different if you don't live with her and you notice the things that she does and that she does them intrinsically. You know what I'm saying? Because you have some women, if she doesn't have to do it, she's not going to do it. And that was her mind frame of, you're not my husband, so I'm not going to do it. His point was, whether I was your husband or not, you should have been doing that. And that's why I would have seen the value in your wife material. Because that's what she said. So I'm not wife material to you. He said, based off your actions? No. And she sat there and looked stupid. You know what I'm saying? Now that could have been a simple task of, but guess what though? The reason why she knows she ain't wife material, because what he was doing and what he asked her to do was for one reason, because she wanted to take an expensive vacation and he was willing to sacrifice his money and work extra hours to please her. And she couldn't do the bare minimum of providing him a sandwich because he was breaking his neck to please her. And when he said something to her about it, she got offended. You know what I'm saying? And you know that happens every day. I want you to take me to Dubai. I don't know how much money it costs to go to Dubai, but clearly it costs more money than what he had. Do you know what I'm saying? Clearly it did, because in the skit he said, I'm working extra hours I told you I'm not trying to spend. He's not saving money for himself. He's doing this to please her. And that nigga say, "Boy, you didn't even have a cent." That nigga say, "Not a cold cut, not a hot pocket, not nothing." He said, "And you knew I was coming." And that ain't no difference of what we do with the Lord. Oh, I would have did it, but you ain't give me this here, so that's why I ain't do it. And he said, "You know what? Don't worry about it. I never knew you." Oh, Tavon said it costs at least $4K to go to Dubai. I don't know how much it costs to go to Dubai, cause shoot, nigga, I can't get no passport. I'm a felon. They don't have to give me no passport if they don't want to. Cause you know what I'm saying? It has to come in. They get it because that junk got to go through the government. It's their choice. It's their decision. They can tell you no. Oh, he say his people just win, so that's how they know. And it also depends on your crime. Because if you had, if you got a drug trafficking crime, you can't get a passport.
Right.
Yeah, they won't let you get one.
Yeah.
They won't let you get one. You know what I mean? That's $4,000. That's a lot of over. That mean at that point, that man is overextending himself to please an ungrateful woman. Indeed, I'll look at it in the term. That's what he's saying.
I'm trying to figure out how you got wife without
Making me a sandwich. Well, because I'm trying to save money to take you somewhere.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Like,
And she was confused.
right.
And she couldn't understand his point. And she was offended. You would think so. But boy, you should have seen her face when he said, "Well, clearly you ain't no wife." She looked at him like, "What you mean? You big dumb hoe." You know what I'm saying? But you know where that comes from? That comes from the misinformation that young women are taught. Because she's taught that he's supposed to break his neck to please her and that she doesn't have to do anything in return. You know what I'm saying? And that if I didn't do it, then you just need to suck it up, nigga. You know what I'm saying? And that messed up. Cause for 4K, well, if I'm gonna take you on a 4K trip and you ain't had no cold cuts for me, not a hot pocket, not a slice of pizza, or you need to pack your stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Or you ain't going on this trip, I'm going by myself. Choice is yours. I'm not going with you. You haven't earned this trip. You can stay home. Straight up. I can take what I want to take. I'm gonna take somebody gonna make me a sandwich. You know what I'm talking about? That nigga broke it down. That nigga started with a hot plate. That nigga said, "Not a sandwich? Not a cold cut?" But you would see how that nigga walked in the house. That nigga walked in the house confident. That nigga looked around. That nigga said, I don't smell nothing cooking. He said, maybe it's in the microwave. That nigga opened up that microwave. Wow, that nigga looked to see them clothes on the couch. That nigga said, "Oh." That nigga paused. That nigga did his like this here. That's when you know a man frustrated, when he paused and he do this here. He trying to gather his thoughts because he about to call you out your name. You know what I'm talking about? He got to get himself together. You know, ain't like nigga stop and just pause and take his hand across his face. He finna cuss you out. And he got to realize, this my lady. I can't talk to her like that. Let me take a breath. You know what I'm saying? Because that junk ain't cool. And the reason why it ain't cool, because he said they previously had that conversation. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like he just walked in the door. I already told you this. So that means your foresight and your care for me is non-existent. And I mentioned that because, like I just said before, that's how we treat Yahuwah. He told you what it is and what he needs you to do. And then when he show up, you try to beat him getting mad because you didn't do what he told you to do. Don't work like that. 13 and 1, the book of Revelation, man. We'll get out of here. We'll lay the foundation for this here. He said, I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw the beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto the leopard. His feet was the feet of a bear, and his mouth the mouth of a lion, and the serpent gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshiped the serpent which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who can make war with him? Now, of course, you know, it dropped down about verse 11, and they tell you how that prophet goes before the beast working wonders. So we'll go into detail to see how Baal and Nebo work together in concert, which is a force, because all these false deities that we talking about is pointing you to that man of sin at the end, because he will encapsulate everything that those people were doing to these guys, especially when you read in Daniel when he said he has no desire for women. You know what I'm saying? Because he's going to be a little different. He's not going to participate in the Bacchanalian rites, but he's going to encourage you to do so. You know what I'm saying? But he's not going to participate, because for him, that's the worship that's coming to him. And that's what he's after, and that's what he wants. So this is another way for us to look at the mystery of iniquity and the beast, and for you to know what to look for so you're not deceived. So you'll already be knowing that's such and such worship. That's such and such worship. That's such and such worship. And when you see that junk go down with the beast, then you're not going to go along with it, because you would know your Elohim. And the reason why we looking at it all stuff, because whether you realize it or not, Yahuwah was warning us or chastising us, either or both in most situations, about these deities when they are mentioned. They're not mentioned for no reason. They're mentioned because the nations worship them, and he told you what they did, and he told you, I don't want you fooled up with it. You know what I'm saying? But hallelujah for Yahushua. The word, we stop right there though. But Yahuwah willing, we pick it up on Wednesday. I appreciate everybody time. Bless y'all, the house of Yah, name of Yahushua. But we have to go through all these items because it'll make the mystery of iniquity make a lot more sense. It'll allow you to know what to look for and how we are immersed in a world of debauchery and wickedness, of which we know but probably didn't know in its totality, and so that we don't get caught up with it. So, y'all bless y'all in the name of Yahushua. Yahuwah willing, we catch y'all on the next one. But right now, we got to roll out. Hey, make sure you take the chair.